who are supporting my candidacy for President of the United States.
Former President Trump at a town hall event on Fox News Channel with a woman-only audience saying it was the right call to overturn Roe v. Wade.
It's back in the states where they can have the vote of the people. It's exactly where they want to be.
State police in Argentina confirmed that former One Direction UK boy band star Liam Payne has died after a fall from the third floor of his hotel. He was 31. A small group of North Korean soldiers fighting with Russian forces in the front lines of the Russian-Ukraine war have deserted, says a Ukrainian source. Chuck Sievertson. The Federal Trade Commission has adopted a new rule making it easier for consumers to cancel subscriptions or memberships they no longer want. A click-to-cancel rule also requires businesses to get consent for an auto renewal. A judge in Georgia has overruled the Republican-led board that oversees elections, blocking a rule that could slow the reporting of election returns.
It's the second major election-related ruling this week from Georgia State Judge Robert McBurney. Monday, he ruled that counties have no choice but to certify the results. And now he says the state election board cannot require poll workers to hand count the number of ballots to ensure that tally matches a machine tabulation. Judge McBurney says that rule was adopted too close to the election without leaving enough time to train poll workers.
ABC's Stephen Portnoy in Washington. A state court has ruled that a killer's escape from a Pennsylvania jail last year has cost him his right to appeal his original life sentence. Chuck Sievertson, ABC News.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. When you use Angie for your home projects, you know all your jobs will be done well. Roof repair? Done well. Kitchen sink install? Done well. Deck upgrades? Done well. Electrical upgrade? Done well. Angie's been connecting homeowners with skilled pros for nearly 30 years, so we know the difference between done and done well. Hire high-quality, certified pros at Angie.com.
Everyone on the road is trying to make it to their destination safely. You can help by staying aware of the large trucks and buses around you. They take longer to stop, have large blind spots, and make wide turns that require caution from other drivers. It takes all of us working together to share the road safely. Learn more at www.sharetheroadsafely.gov. Paid for by FMCSA.
The views and opinions of the following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Welcome to the Common Sense Conservatives, a political discussion group about current events and other government-related matters every Wednesday evening from 7 to 8 p.m. Right here on WSMN 1590 AM, WSMN 95.3 FM, and streaming live on wsmn.live. Making sense of the inverted reality we are subject to every day, the Common Sense Conservatives are here to help bring you back to reality. Now, your hosts, Chris Wyatt, Todd McKinley, and Gary Grogan.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Common Sense Conservatives. So it's another Wednesday night. We're rearing to go. Todd just barely made it in the studio, so I'm going to have to adjust the screen here. We got Todd McKinley coming from Northeast Tennessee. How you doing today, Todd?
Good. Getting a lot of work done. A lot of veterans work, a lot of Republican work today. I went to try to go cast my ballot for early voting. I went to 2 polling places, and each line was about 30 minutes. But to me, I think it's a good thing here in Tennessee that we have people showing up on day one. We'll see how the turnout by the end of this thing. I'm optimistic that we're going to have a good turnout.
Awesome. I see Chris over there is getting bored. He's rearing to jump in here. So, Chris, out there in South Central Pennsylvania, what's going on for you?
John, let me be perfectly clear about something. Just okay, can I finish? Can I finish, John? Let me be perfectly clear about something. Donald Trump is pure evil. He is a fascist. He will burn down courthouses. He will burn. Oh, I'm sorry. I was watching the Fantasy Island variety show there with Brett Baer. I'm doing okay. We're going to get into this, I'm sure. But I want to say up front that I have been disappointed in Brett Baer the few times that I've watched him over the past 4 years. I will say that a bit of my faith has been restored in him. Tonight, he asked the hard questions. He didn't let her skate for the most part. She still skated because she's incapable of answering the questions. But I would say that Brett Baer is the clear winner in tonight's question session with Cackles Harris. But I got to give her credit. someone finally advised her that, hey, you've got to actually go on and take hard questions, not, the nonsense from Charlemagne the God. What an arrogant name. Or the oral surgery, and that's not the word I really mean to use when I say oral, from the Call Me Daddy podcast. It's about time that Cackles actually did a real interview, and Brett Baer gave the first genuine interview of Kamala Harris in this entire election season. And bravo to Fox News, and bravo to Brett Baer, and frankly, bravo to Cackles. She's full of it. She didn't answer the questions, but hey, she did okay.
So she pulled her normal routine there, did she?
No, she didn't pull a normal routine. She actually had to try to answer it, but she deflected all the time. Everything was Donald Trump's fault. He said, 79% of people surveyed in the country say the country is going the wrong direction. Well, that's, but we all know it's Donald Trump for 10 years. I'm sorry, Donald Trump was president for 4 years. You've been in the White House for 3.5 years. That's 7.5 years. The rest of the time was on the Messiah, Barack Hussein Obama's watch. So why are you blaming Donald Trump? You can only blame him for a little portion of that. Anyway. No, she did a little more than she normally does, and if she'd been getting interviews like this all along, she might be more polished, and she wouldn't be getting slaughtered. Trump is now ahead in the popular vote across the country. He's leading 50-48 in the popular vote when he was down 36-50 something against Biden a year ago, and against Cackles, she was actually ahead 53-54 to his 44. He's closed the gap. He's expanded. He's in the lead. He's ahead in every single swing state. This will be an electoral landslide unless an October surprise. But you know what the October surprise is so far? I'm going to tell you what the October surprise is so far. The Democrats are bat crap crazy unhinged. I mean, you hear this on the Dystopian View where they're talking about a guy on there. Well, what they're doing is they're not really campaigning for November 5th. This is for November 6th until inauguration. What they're going to do, the Republicans are going to burn down courthouses. What happens in Arizona if you can't go and certify the votes? Well, that's how they're going to steal. Are you serious? Are you smoking crack cocaine? The Democrats have lost their cotton picking minds. Ooh, wait. Is that racist? That phrase, cotton picking? I'm just saying.
Oh, I wonder. Yeah, it's kind of like Bill Clinton over there basically giving Donald Trump kudos inadvertently by saying Riley Lakin would never have happened if they were vetting the immigrants. It's like, whoa, did you just hand kudos to Trump or what?
Yeah. Well, and then Brett Baer, you tried to horn her in on the immigration thing. It was a good 8 or almost 11 minutes of that interview, of a 30-minute interview, and he didn't let her slip away, but she still did slip away in essence because she blamed Trump. But folks, let's be very clear about something. We do not have a broken immigration system. If we had a broken immigration system, there wouldn't be 700,000 to 900,000 people naturalized as American citizens every single year. That is more than double the rest of the world. We are more than generous enough. We have a functioning immigration system. What we have is a corrupt administration that refuses to adhere to the rule of law and facilitates the criminal alien invasion of our country. And I'll tell you what, you callow, useless, feckless Republican machine that discriminates against genuine, real, honest, earnest people like myself and Todd who run for office. We get the country that you people screw us with because we're stuck with this country because other people won't stand up and say these things unless they're celebrities like Carrie Lake or Donald Trump. But you don't want real Americans out there speaking the truth. Only the ones that are in your special favorite circle. And that's why this country's in the crapper, because of the Republicans in the Republican Party and, of course, the Democrats. But there you have it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. You're getting arguments here. Holy crap. Did you see that SNL skit? No. It was on. I caught the TikTok version, the short version. I don't watch Saturday Night Live either. But it was interesting because they were playing off from Kamala Harris's. Well, let me tell you, it was a skit basically on Family Feud, and she hits the buzzer first. He asked the question, "What do you commonly keep in your glove box?" And she says. Of course, the character playing her says, "Well, let me tell you, I was born a middle class."
Yeah, let me be perfectly clear.
Yeah, and then he's just like, but the question is, and so it's kind of funny, because they were playing the whole thing. They went right down to Joe Biden and everything. It was great.
Well, that's
basically run down the whole left. It's like that. Come off SNL. You ran down the left.
John, look. First off, we had the trifecta of all the things that went against her Harris campaign 2 weeks ago. That was Hurricane Helene. That was Iran hitting Israel. And what was the third one? What was the third one? There's 3 things that are all just disastrous for her campaign. Now we're getting hit with the trifecta again of things. She's getting pummeled in the polls. It's just, look, we've got Barack Hussein Obama lecturing black men that they're not real men, that they're misogynist if they don't vote for her. Why? She's not a black woman, but that's what he's doing. Did you hear how he changed his voice? I've noticed that there's not the same excitement as when I ran. And yeah, that's because the people elected you were white people, dude.
Oprah watching white people.
That's right. That's why, and Dystopian View watching white people, soccer moms. That's why you went from 68 million votes in 2008 to 63 million votes in 2012, because white people saw through you. So he's up there. I don't notice the same enthusiasm using his erudite, Netflix executive voice, the same enthusiasm for Kamala's campaign as there was when I ran. And we chalked it up to one thing. And he goes, then he switches the voices. It's all on the brothers. It's on the brothers. I'm like, are you serious? Right. You see the Kamala Harris now and the left are running around on the New York Times, the Washington Post ran an article yesterday because in Oak, Pennsylvania, there were, I guess the room was too hot for the town hall that Trump did yesterday, and somebody passed out. So they called for a medic. They stopped everything. Then they started again. Then someone else passed out and they stopped. And Trump said there was a long delay. So rather than staying like a bunch of idiots, Trump says, play some music. So they're playing music and Trump gets up there, he's dancing. And then, now that Kamala Harris is saying he's unstable because of the way he's dancing, and the Washington Post tries to turn it into like a crazy thing, like he did something stupid. I'm like, what are you all talking about? For 30 years, you've been telling us white man can't dance. And now a white man can't dance and you're upset about it? Give me a break.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's kind of funny.
Come on, man. What you talking about? What you talking about, Willis?
So how do you guys feel about this early voting? Do you agree with this? Or?
Scam.
I'm the same way. I'm thinking.
I like to be able to get my vote out of the way, and at the same time, I think it provides more of an opportunity. I do think there's probably in some states way too many dates because you look at the numbers in some places. It doesn't make sense to have it so many days. I don't think because of the cost benefit analysis, but I do like early voting.
The first Tuesday of every November is election day, not election season, not election weeks, not election month, election day. Scam.
Well, it is up to the states to decide whether they want to, how they want to have their elections. But my concern is if there was actually fraudulent elections going on, that if conservatives, whether they're encouraging to do early voting, if conservatives vote early, does that not give them the opportunity to rig the election?
No, the only people that can actually rig are the people in control of the ballot boxes and the SD cards. That's the only people who can rig it. And you can cheat.
Right. They're not supposed to count it till.
You can cheat by sending more than one ballot if you're able to access, like in California, where they send 35 ballots to an apartment building where somebody's left, another person's left, another person's left. But no, but the only people who can steal are the people that are responsible for it. People can cheat, and cheating can be enough to make a difference. But no, it's again, obviously Todd and I disagree on this, but I cannot accept this nonsense. If you are unable to appear at your polling station on election day, then you file for a federal absentee ballot. You fill a form out. And then you have legal jeopardy attached because if you commit fraud and put it in the U.S. Postal Service, it's a 5-year felony conviction for mail fraud. I'm perfectly okay with that. If you're a business person traveling, you're a truck driver out of state, you're a military person not at home, if you are in a care facility or you're in hospital and you can't go, then that's what you do. I'm okay with that. But early voting, no. By definition, that has to be early voting because the ballot has to get back to the polling station on time. But no, early voting, no. Because the truth doesn't come out to the end. We don't find out about the truth until the end. And then people look, the last election's positive proof. 16% of Democrats polled nationwide in multiple polls, that's the average 16%, say if they had known about the Hunter Biden laptop, they would never vote for Joe Biden. Now, that doesn't mean they would have voted for Donald Trump, but if Joe Biden lost 16% of the votes he got, he'd have been killed in the election. But they covered it up. Twitter destroyed that whole thing, took down accounts. Everybody went after the New York Post for accurate reporting a story about the Hunter Biden laptop. That is election interference. That's what threw the election. So that's how it was. If you want to ask about how elections are taken, that's how the election was taken last time. Never mind mail-in ballots. Never mind the strange counts. Never mind boxes under the table in Fulton County. Never mind any of that. Never mind 2,000. Never mind 2,000 mules. That one event, by having Facebook and Twitter and all the social media tech titans block and hide the content from the New York Post, limiting the reach of that bombshell story, 16% of Democrats who voted would not have voted for Joe Biden. The election's over. So, if you're saying it can't be done, it can be done. And that's what's happening right now. On
That's
her
influence,
interview with
yeah.
Brett Baer, she moaned about, oh, Donald Trump spending $20 million on that ad telling lies about me. Dude, you just got $1 billion. Every ad you send out is a lie about Donald Trump. Shut up.
So
Right.
the thing that people often overlook is we talk about social media a lot, but Google's probably the most used web browser in the world. And they too can restrict posts. They can restrict what you put out there. If you have an article about, say, the Hunter Biden laptop, and they don't want that out there, they can actually restrict that from keeping it out there and limit your viewership.
Well, just before we went on air tonight, Judicial Watch released more video of an undercover interview with a Meta executive who is running his mouth like they like to do, and these guys go undercover.
Yep.
And the Meta executive admitted that any negative posts on Facebook or Instagram, any of their sites about Kamala Harris, any negative is automatically being hidden so that people can't find it. Talk about interference. They're at it again. They spent $350 million in the last election, did Zuckerberg and his clowns, and they're doing it again. So, there is interference. There is theft. This is unwarranted. These companies are not supposed to be media companies. They're supposed to be websites that make money off of ad revenue and make money off subscriptions by providing a service. And they were given protections under the 1996 Telecommunications Act, which under Section 230 prevented them from being sued for the content that you and I produce, like we're doing right now. This is going out on Facebook. It's going out over YouTube. And they are protected because they're not editors. So they don't edit our content. The only responsibility they have is if someone commits a crime, they have to report it and they have to remove it. But short of that, they don't edit. But the moment that they hide someone's content, that's editorial. They're violating Section 230. They should be charged. They should be stripped, and they should be open to lawsuits. And I want that so desperately. I want to become a multimillionaire by suing YouTube for all the shameful things they've done to me the past 4 years.
Now you'll get one penny, by the way, because it'll be a class action. Everybody will jump on it, and you'll get like a couple pennies. And that's
8 billion people in the world, and Chris is over
Yeah.
going, I'll take my half a cent.
Good. Alphabet is nearly $1 trillion company. Don't worry, I'll get my millions.
All right.
Because like I'm determined, I don't care who don't get theirs, I'm getting mine.
That's right.
That's why it should be.
I'll be the first pig of the trough, right behind Steven Crowder.
There you go. There
Right.
you go. As long as they get got.
Right. And I equated as you were talking there, I was thinking, like, what if a member of the press comes up to you and asks you for a quote about something? Let's say you're just attending an event and you say, well, XYZ, and maybe it didn't go with their ideas. And they should be able to print that without any repercussions, even though maybe it's a left-leaning or right-leaning newspaper. Even though your opinion differs, they should be able to print that without any repercussions. It's like saying, well, I don't want your opinion because it differs from my newspaper's opinion. What we're putting out here differs from Facebook's opinion, but at the same time, they should be protected from, whatever we say.
Well, here's a good example of how the media distorts things. So I'm going to give you one. So I was contacted by the television station in Harrisburg on short notice asking me to come in for an interview. I came in for the interview. They offered it to all 5 candidates. They talked to all 5 candidates, and I was interviewed for about 10 minutes, and they aired 6 seconds of what I said in 2 snippets. So that means,
Of course.
That means they're 3 seconds each. Meantime, they asked questions, and they pointed issues out, and they played up another candidate who got over 90 seconds of airtime in that 3-minute segment. I got the least. You want to talk about interfering with elections? There's your interfering with elections.
Right. Yeah, no, that's what I've done that before too, where you sit down 3 to 5 minute interview and you're thinking, what are they going to pull out of this? The shorter the interview, I've noticed, it forces them to use what you tell them, and they'll try to pull answers out of you. Keep going to the same line. It makes it hard for them to find a soundbite that doesn't fit what you want them to know.
Well, this is why I really like. Excuse me. I really like the ability of having social media available when you're not censored, like YouTube,
Absolutely.
where I can talk to people for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, and I don't edit any of that stuff. I've never edited any of my interviews. I have done some off-air interviews, and I don't even edit those. The only thing I edit is the couple minutes ahead of time. I'm making sure the microphone's working, things like that. But the actual interview, I have never edited any of my interviews. And you know what? In my view, is there's no reason to edit an interview. If people want to hear an honest interview, then they should be able to hear an honest interview. By the way, let me just share this very quickly here. On YouTube, I've been getting censored forever. My channel was removed. In fact, this is going out on that channel tonight at Real Chris Wyatt on YouTube. And a few of my audience are actually listening to it. Thank you for watching it there. But this channel has been censored forever. I did a video a couple days ago on this story. I don't know if you guys saw this. I want to talk about this tonight. But some social media commentators like the older millennial who's on TikTok He's pretty well known. He does some really good quality content. And a couple others who are pretty good and honest with the report. They reported and said that there had been a decision reached by the New York Appeals Court in the Donald Trump case, the $489 million, and the 34 counts. And I went searching. I couldn't find anywhere in the news. So I did a video which basically asked the question, is this true? I mean, these guys are not exactly people that make stuff up, but they're not like lunatics and wingnuts, but they're reporting on it, and they've been following it. Now, the last mainstream media reports, and there are only a couple of them, was on the 26th of September when the closing arguments went very badly for Letitia James and for the Democrats. They clearly look like they're going to get in trouble, if not criminally charged for their actions in going after Trump. But there's been no follow-up. So I made a video about that, and I have to say, I don't know how I caught the algorithm, but I caught the algorithm wave. That video has now been up 5 days, and the first 2 days it didn't get much, but now it's at 85,000 views. And I've gained over 1,100 subscribers as a consequence. It's like the old days on YouTube. It's very exciting. But my subsequent videos really haven't done much of anything. So if you're one of those people who's found my channel, please check out the other content. And if you're not, go to @RealChrisWyatt if you want to hear concise, insightful, lucid, cogent analysis about the United States, economics, national security, politics from someone that's been there and done that and actually has no axe to grind. Now, I'm not unbiased. We're all biased.
Of course.
I'm honest about my bias.
But you're not somebody who has to stand there with a soundbite that your staff gave you. This is the original content, not something not a talking point.
Catch me off the cuff. You can stick a microphone in front of my face, and you'll get the same answer every time. If you give me enough time, you get a fuller answer. Yeah, but I'm just actually astounded that happened. That's more views on one video in 5 days than I've gotten on that channel in the 18 months since YouTube restored it.
Wow.
But that's about half what I used to get on every video I used to do on the program. I used to get about 150,000 views on every video before they censor me. It's really tough to come back from that. But one of the viewers here, one of my viewers from the UK, Keith, is saying it sounded like Kamala is on auto cue during that live stream or that live broadcast with Brett Baer. Yeah, it's almost as if she was getting something through her headpiece, telling her, okay, now come back, say the same thing about Trump, say the same thing about Trump. I was waiting for him to say, this was to be perfect. So this is Brett Baer. So, Madam Vice President, some people are curious. They like your hairstyle. Where do you get your hair done? Well, Donald Trump is evil, and that's the reason.
and then to deadpan at the camera and kind of go like,
you gave me the wrong answer. My earpiece.
Yeah, Brett Baer. I guess
he said earpiece, not earpiece.
Yeah, headpiece. She said, "Man, get him out." She scratching her head really hard. Get Trump out.
Austin Powers.
Yeah.
She's dead, baby.
That's a man. Yeah. No, but Trump's all up in their heads for sure. Did you see Tim Walz try to go hunting? I mean, just he couldn't even fake hunting.
I did a video on that too. I did it just to see. I don't know if you guys saw this. Did you see it?
Yeah, no, but he couldn't fake hunting. Couldn't even. He's like, sometimes these don't like to fit proper, and everybody's kind of basically saying, "Yeah, you're right. Those don't like to go right in." I'm like, every shotgun I've ever loaded, unless there's something wrong with the shell where you're dropped or stepped on by chance, goes right in. It goes right in every shotgun I've ever loaded.
Also, I understand he's left-handed. I'm also left-handed. I have never loaded a shotgun shell with my left hand.
No, because most people are right-handed and teach people to shoot right-handed just by default.
Right, but I've always hold the shotgun with my left hand as I load the rounds with my right hand. It's just like baseball. I wear the glove in the right hand. Anyway, so but look, I did a video on this, and so I went in my front yard and I pointed the camera at a tree, and I said, Governor Walz, understand that you went hunting today. What kind of gun did you use? And so then, and I'm sorry, I had to point at me, and then I turned around, and I pointed at the tree. So like he's the tree. No, I'm sorry. It's pointed at the tree, asking the question. Then it points back at me as if I'm Tim Walz, and I go, I got my cowboy hat on. Well, I used a shooting gun today. That's what I used, a shooting gun.
A shooting gun.
And then the reporter says, Governor Walz, what were you hunting? And it comes back to Governor Walz. Well, with hunting wabbits, it's wabbit season. Hunting wabbits.
Wascally wabbit. Yeah.
I want wabbits with my shooting gun.
Like, people didn't think like, hey, I get it. You got to wear arms. You got to show safety and all this stuff. But look at Elmer Fudd. Look at yourself in the mirror. Maybe you wear something a little bit different. Make it hard for them to meme you. Come on.
I say, boy. Oh my God, Foghorn Leghorn.
Yeah. Go ahead, John.
Oh no, I just agreed. I'm like, yep, I'm Foghorn Leghorn, man. Those are the greats. Those old cartoons.
that was good stuff, man. Yeah, Foghorn Leghorn, and then Yosemite Sam.
Oh yeah.
And then what's that Snaggletooth, whatever, suffering succotash.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that was Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah.
That was Hanna-Barbera there.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Holy guacamole. Those were great things back in the day. But I don't know. Did you guys get a chance to watch her from 6 to 6:30? I watched it.
No,
I didn't. No. I was on a veterans organization DEC call, so I couldn't do it. So.
Well, I'll tell you, it was. I'm going to use some of the snippets from that interview.
All right.
But she said something that's going to come back to haunt her, because when she was asked about her position about paying for transgender surgery for criminals in prison and for illegal aliens, which she said she supported just in September, she said, "Well, I'm for following the law, and that's the law. I mean, on Donald Trump's administration, that was the law." And then Brett Baer came back and said, but under Trump's administration, no one was allowed to have those transgender surgeries, even though that was the law. Nobody got it. And but Trump. And then she said that what happens in your administration, you're responsible for. And that's what she was saying to transgender. And then he told her that no one got. So that's going to come back to haunt her. That soundbite is going to be, I can see it now. She says, what happens on your watch, you're responsible for. And they're going to show people pouring over the wall. They're going to show Afghanistan. They're going to show inflation. People picking up a box of cereal costs $13 for a box of cereal. That, or looking at the gas pump with the prices ticking over. That soundbite begs a $100 million ad campaign.
Right. And if you notice, a number of times the Trump campaign has actually used Tim Walz and Kamala's words against them. And they say something in a rally or in an interview, and then all of a sudden it goes to Trump and he goes, "I'm Donald Trump. I approve this message," and uses their words in like a 15-second ad or whatever. It's perfect.
Who is that idiot up there in New England? Dean, what's his name? The Democrat who ran for office, and he stood up and went, woo! And it
Howard Dean.
It was that.
He wasn't from
Howard
New
Dean.
Hampshire, but
It was Howard Dean.
Howard Dean. Oh,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
And his whole campaign just imploded just for doing that. Tim
One
Walz
little
runs around like Elmer Fudd. Nobody notices.
And I've listened to that many times. It's like, we're going to go here. We're going to go there. We're going to go here. And at the end of it, he goes, yeah, like that one little thing ruined him.
And it was tough break because it's just unfortunate for him,
Yeah. and every time somebody became the front runner in the Democrat Party that particular year, they were always hit like a whack-a-mole. So it was like the last person that became the front runner, I think, won that year. Last man standing, I guess. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Listen, seriously, though, Kamala Harris, someone's finally advising her it was smart to go on Fox News. First off, she's ignoring a huge segment of the population, some of whom are on the fence. I mean, there are some rhinos that watch Fox News, and there's some Democrats that watch it. So, but her answer, she's got nothing.
What was funny is that the campaign actually reached out to Fox to request the interview because,
it's because they're desperate. They know how bad things have gotten.
Right. And now they're also begging to go on Joe Rogan. She's begging to go on Joe Rogan. I'm like, that's probably not a smart idea. But
Isn't Trump going to go on Rogan?
I don't know. I think he might too. But they were talking about her wanting to desperately go on Joe Rogan because that's a huge audience. Every day you think about his audience.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not part of it, but yep.
No, but it's not just conservatives or Republicans. It's across the spectrum because he talks to everybody basically.
Yeah, fair point.
So that's the way it should be. Even though Joe Rogan he's not the brightest bulb, but at least he'll ask some tough questions to people at times. So
the problem I have with Joe Rogan is not necessarily Joe Rogan. The problem I have with Joe Rogan is I can't get the image of the idiot utility man he played on news radio. That's who he is to me.
Right. I mean, but to me, if you can play a great idiot, I think you can do comedy very well.
So you got Joe Rogan typecast in your head.
Just can do comedy. What's that, John?
I said, so what? You got Joe Rogan typecast in your head?
I do. It's stuck in my head. I don't follow UFC, so I didn't get to see that side of him, which apparently is how he actually became popular.
Yeah, and I never saw the his show that what was it, Fear Factor. I never watched that.
Oh, I tried to watch that idiotic show. That was like white trash heaven there. Gosh.
Yeah, that's it. So I knew somebody who went on that show years ago. I met her after she had been on the show, but she helped me get an apartment in Washington D.C. It was she was one of the apartment rental persons. But she had been on the show, and she was telling me all the stuff that they had to eat and all the stuff. And I got a little bit behind the scenes stuff. They're like the trick. They give them the trick to eating something. They're like trick to eating this is this, and they kind of give them a little class before they do it. So and it's up to them to actually do it or not. So.
Well, and before any hate mail comes into the program, let me be clear. I lived in a trailer park growing up. I lived in a farm with an outhouse, no electricity. So if you, the white trash comment reflects a little bit on me as well. So don't send your hate mail. And if you do address it, send it courtesy of John Grosvenor, Nashua, New Hampshire.
I'll take it. I'll read it on the air. Send
General Delivery, RFD 105.
Did you also live in the B's, by the way, the barracks back in the day?
What, you mean in the Army?
Yeah, in the Army. You live in the Bees?
Of course I live in the barracks. Yeah, of course I live in the
Bees. Back at the Bees, baby. Love it.
Yeah, no, I lived in the barracks. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, so it was smart for her to go on, but of course she didn't really answer any questions she should have answered. So, hey, what are you going to say? But look, my respect for Brett Baer is restored to some degree. I really thought he's been a sellout the past years, just, waffling in news coverage and not offering, real hard hitting. This was a good interview on his part. Now, of course, the left is going to whine on the dystopian view. Oh, she never got the answer. He was mansplaining and he was so rude to her. No, he was never rude to her. He was very professional.
He is a professional, Yeah.
Yeah. And he wasn't a sellout. He didn't let her off the hook. Like I said, the immigration thing went for about 14 minutes. Have a 30-minute interview. So, yeah.
But she knew how to ride the timeout. Basically, don't answer questions, deflect until he has to move on. That's what she did.
Well, yeah, but he still came out a couple of times and left her really in a spot where she had no answer for it. So,
that's
what
good.
Are you gonna do? No, it's good. That's how it should be. I mean, and look, they should do the same thing to Trump, put him on a spot. Bloomberg put him on a spot and he destroyed the Bloomberg guy. And then the Washington Post comes out with a story. Oh, the tariffs Trump bringing is going to destroy the world. Did you listen to anything Trump said?
Yeah, he's been in the office for 4 years. They said all this stuff back in 2015, 2016. Now, all of a sudden, they're like, well, he has nothing else to lose because he's term limited, so he won't ever leave office. It's like, but you said that already. He left the morning of January 20th before Biden was inaugurated. I was standing right there. I watched the plane take off. So come on.
Let me be very clear.
let me be clear.
If Donald Trump was a dictator, if Donald Trump was a fascist, somebody riddle me this, Batman. Why is there an election on November 5th? If Donald Trump were a fascist, he'd still be president. There would have been no Joe Biden administration.
Right. And have you noticed how they bumbled it, try to label him as a strong man? And one instance they say he's weak, then they say he's a strong man. It's like, you can't be a weak strong man. It doesn't work that way. You're either one or the other.
Well, now they're trying this nonsense that he's threatened to use the military against me. He never threatened to use the military against American people. What he said is something about, he's worried about safety during election. And he said, these people may have to call off the National Guard. He has no authority to call off the National Guard. How is that? It's threatening to use the military. That's
one of those old things people used to say back in the old days.
Mm-hmm.
If it's like, oh, the concert downtown is going to get out of hand. They're going to have to call the National Guard. Old people used to say back in the old day, like things are going to get out of hand. That's just a saying.
Well, look, so as far as using the military, Joe Biden has threatened to use the military against American citizens. Yep. He's threatened to arrest people for misinformation and disinformation. And they have used the American military against us. They called out our soldiers to put a barrier around the People's House so we couldn't visit the Congress for months, 8 months, at a tremendous expense, leaving soldiers trapped in parking garages with no toilets and no food, forgetting about them, and putting them out there, armed guards with body armor, with armored vehicles, machine guns on them, as if we were a third world country. He's used the military against American people. And you know what? He can't even use the military to defend the military. 17 days consecutive, an army of drones flew over Langley Air Force Base, Fort Monroe, and Norfolk Naval Station. Are you serious? Has anyone ever heard of a shotgun? Air defense? F-22 Raptors scrambled? What is going on here? 17. These are the same morons. This is why we need an honest assessment of Harris and what's going on. Remember, folks, these are the people that brought us a Chinese spy balloon, which ironically included American manufactured computer parts as part of its armament and its system for cameras and everything, that flew across the Pacific. It was spotted by the American military. It
Yep.
flew over the United States, crossing over Hanford Nuclear Facility in Washington State, over the northern plain states where all our MX and nuclear missiles are located, our silos, down over the Midwest where STRATCOM is at Offutt Air Force Base, Scott Transcom is located, down over Fort Campbell, or whatever we're calling it today, over Virginia where all sensitive military installations are, down the coast, and only after it left the continental United States, after it spied on us for 2 weeks, did this corrupt administration finally shoot it down. And their argument was, well, we couldn't shoot it down over population centers. Have you been to Nebraska? Do you know where Montana is? Nobody lives there. I feel like Sam Kinison. Hey, the reason you're starved is because you live in a desert. Move!
I like how you're kind of like me. You start somewhere and you end up somewhere completely different on your rant. I love it though.
But Sam Kinison was so fun, man.
Oh, but it's not incoherent ramblings. You know, it's not George Costanza. It is Sam Kinison, which was coherent. He was just loud.
Exactly. He was very loud.
Yeah.
Oh, seriously, these are the people that brought us Chinese spy balloons. These are the people that have allowed Chinese spies to knock boots with a sitting member of Congress, Eric Swalwell. These are people who have allowed the advisors to a California senator for years to be a Chinese spy. Oh. These are the people that allowed a Chinese spy to work for the New York Governor, Kathy Hochul. These are the people that allowed 30 million criminal alienators to facilitate their invasion of our country. And then the same people that complain about a housing shortage. Well, let's see. If you kick 30 million criminals out of the country, guess what? There's a lot more housing on the marketplace. Seriously, but now we're not doing the jobs. Did you hear this nonsense? Who was it? They were just gobsmacked when someone said, "Well, if you send these people back home, then it was J.D. Vance was being interviewed, and J.D. Vance said, well, there's 7 million people that are no longer in the workforce that just aren't working. You bring them back into the workforce, they'll keep working construction." And the interviewer's like, "Americans working construction? Ew, are they going to hurt their nails?" I mean, she didn't say the last part, but unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we need more Americans back in the workforce for sure. And not just doling out, stuff to people who won't work or people can be more compliant. We need to get people off the rolls. I'm not saying just kick people off the rolls willy-nilly, but ensure that people that need government services can get it. Those who are gaming the system, I'm sorry, you're SOL, get out the door. Done.
Yeah, I know. Somebody wrote in the comments here, my viewer from the UK says headlines. Where'd it go? He just deleted it. Said headlines. Chris Wyatt, other his headlines: trailer park trash makes good. Chris Wyatt.
That's good, right? Local boy makes good. All right.
Next thing you know, I'll be singing Patsy Cline and Charlie Rich songs.
Yeah, it's funny as you get some people
sorry now.
You'll get some people that'll look at somebody in a situation and say, "Well, good for them. They got up, they got out of it, they made better themselves." You'll have some that'll look at you and say, "Who does he think he is? He just thinks he's better because he did this, because he went to college, because he had this opportunity and that opportunity." The people that never go do anything, they always want to pull people down, kind of like the lobsters in the water pot, right?
Oh yeah, crabs in a bucket.
Yeah.
Every time one's going to escape, he gets pulled back in by the rest.
Right.
Todd, I will have to fully confess that the reason I did so well is my white privilege, and I'm a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant heterosexual male.
Okay, that gave you a degree. Yeah,
that's why. That's how I got the application that any American can apply for based on poverty, and that's how I got that money. That's how I went to school and screwed up, and then had to come back to school when I was ready and fix my bad grades and earn my degree and made my way in life. Yeah, because that white Anglo-Saxon male Protestant, it's a patriarchy, man. It's all set up for us. 35% of the population, they're white males out of the entire country. 3.5 out of every 10 people are white males, and it's all for us, man. That's why everybody that goes on camera at SpaceX is a woman or gay, because of patriarchy.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, I can see it now. Whenever people are born, you have this doctor with the light on his head. There, he steps back. He goes, "That boy looks like a straight white male. Let's go and give him his Harvard degree and his 6-figure job. Congratulations, Mom."
They're automatically issuing out Social Security numbers at birth. I mean, why not?
Oh, I know that. Yeah.
I tell you what. Now in Texas, that's all we say. I'll tell you what. No, no, but I will tell you what. You're going to talk about give that young little white boy a Harvard degree. Less than 12% of the people entering Harvard are white males.
I know, but that's a stereotype.
80 years ago, 85% of them were white males.
Yeah, but the stereotype though, it persists.
Yeah. Yeah, it can persist. It's not true. It's like the nonsense that we heard for years from NASA and from the political left. Women are disadvantaged in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and maths. They don't have degrees, they don't have any jobs. Over 60% of postgraduate degrees are awarded to women in STEM fields and has been the case for 25 years. The amount of women in STEM fields now outnumbers men. Not by 51 to 49, but more like about 65 to 35. Men are being excluded from STEM. They're absolutely cut out of the workforce because of programs intentionally targeted to women. And those programs exist targeted to minorities. So white men are disappearing from the science fields, disappearing from engineering, and they're not part of it. And I'm not bemoaning that, but stop lying about what's going on.
Yep, absolutely. That makes sense. But, everybody loves this, stroke their ego, if you will, and they love to misspeak in interviews, right? Or whenever they're up in front of a large audience, trying to curry favor. Love to misspeak, pad the resume. I mean, that's what people do all the time in politics. I know that's not what you're talking about, but yeah, in general, though.
Well, let me be perfectly clear. Oh, dear God. Anyway, hey, how about that P. Diddy?
No.
I can't wait for the list to be released.
The new Epstein.
Oh, the original Epstein, man. This guy was doing it before Epstein was. This guy
he got caught second, so he's not. I just wonder if they're going to Epstein him, or
there was Weinstein, and there was Epstein, and now there's Diddy Stein. One of my viewers is asking, "Can I see the chat?" Lay off of the booze, man. I've been addressing the chat several times.
Hey, no criticizing those booze hounds.
No, that guy doesn't drink anymore, so he's not a booze hound. I'm just teasing.
That seems to be a trend anymore. I see a lot of people that are getting off the sauce. They
because it costs too much. It's like smoke.
That is an issue.
$20. It's $25 for a pack of smokes in Manhattan. Good Lord.
I used to refer to Bill Clinton's programs and stuff with prohibition by taxation. The cigarettes got to be so expensive, people couldn't afford to smoke anymore. And back then it was $2.25 a pack. Nowadays it's what, $13, $14, $15 a pack.
I remember the PX $4 for a carton of cigarettes in the 80s. A carton.
Man.
And there's no tax.
10 packs for $4.
Yeah, for $4. And what, 25 cigarettes in each pack, which is it? Something like that. Yeah. That's why people are desperate to have a military ID card so they can use an exchange in Class 6.
As far as I know, there was always 20 cigarettes in a pack, but it depends. Someone could have only had 10.
But Europe, I think, has like 20. Some place has 25, and the other, I don't smoke, so I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on the manufacturer. I think some manufacturers only put like 10 or something, and then you get those flat packs or whatever. But
hey, all I know, interested full disclosure, I do invest in Altria, which is RJ Reynolds and a new version, and they make most of their money selling smokes to the Chinese. So I'm happy selling cigarettes to China.
You're okay if it's a Chinese.
That's right. I got no problem with that. If they can't read the Surgeon General's warning in English, that's their fault.
I don't care if people smoke. It doesn't bother me the least bit. You know what I mean? I'm not one of those top type people that think people should just give up smoking because it's your health. Dude, do what you enjoy. Life's meant to be enjoyed, and some people enjoy tobacco. You enjoy it. Do what you want.
Speaking of which, John, let me just a moment, just a serious moment. I'm not joking around here.
All right.
A colleague of mine, a friend who served with me at U.S. Africa Command. He also had served in Tunisia as the Security Cooperation Chief, as a Middle Eastern Foreign Area Officer for the Army, retired as Lieutenant Colonel in 2016. Really good guy. Came in around the same time I did as an officer. He passed away on October 4th. I found out about it this morning, from a rare form of cancer. He had also deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. He leaves behind a family, a wife of 30 years and kids. True patriot, a fantastic man. Lieutenant Colonel Jeff Panneman. It's heartbreaking. It reminds me, and it should remind all of us, that life is precious. I tell my audiences almost every day, you must grasp the nettle and get the most out of life. Don't be irresponsible. You got to plan for tomorrow, plan for a rainy day, but get the most out of it and make your decisions in life based on getting the fullest experience from it. Whatever satisfies you, that's legal, it doesn't harm others, enjoy it, do it, make the most of your life, because someone's going to punch our ticket at some point, whether you're 60 or 105. Your ticket's going to get punched. I mean, I don't know of anybody, including Ponce de Leon, who found a way to keep this thing going. Maybe one day they'll do it. I know Sheldon Cooper on The Big Bang Theory is waiting for the convergence when he can download his consciousness into a living machine.
Yeah.
But that isn't on the horizon anytime soon. Maybe Elon Musk will get us there. And if he does, I'll sign up for it so I can live forever as the software program. But the point is that 59 years of age after a 26-year career in the military, that's too soon. That's too soon. And I think it's tragic to lose him. He passed away at Walter Reed Medical Center, and he was from Pennsylvania here in Pittsburgh. And so a salute out tonight to Lieutenant Colonel Jeff Bannon.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Condolences, man. I'm sorry to hear about the passing of your friend. You're right.
Same.
It is very, very young age to go, especially these days. But I am noticing there's a trend among younger people getting cancer, in their 40s and 50s, as opposed to back in the 80s and 70s. People in their 60s, they're at least 60 or above before they got cancer. And you did have, the anomalous, child cancer and stuff like that. That was always a thing.
You've always got that leukemia and things like that. But John, if people are wondering why it really, open, I mean, my eyes have always been open, but really just gobsmacked me this morning. I'm 59.
Yeah. I'm 56 next month myself. It's wow. I understand. I think about it a little bit more. When you get to this age, you start looking at things a little differently than you used to. And when I was young, I used to think about that because the older guys, they were more passive and less angry, less aggressive. They seem to have a greater respect for life. I'm like, what's the problem, man? Were they giving up on life? What's going on? But when you get up here in your 50s and stuff, you start evaluating things different and really appreciate things a lot.
Yeah, you have to, look, if you enjoy cigars, enjoy them,
Right.
It's interesting because I remember being a teenager on the farm in southeastern Ohio and thinking about the year 2000. This is in late 70s, early 80s. And I said to myself, man, I will be so old in 2000, 34 or 36. Yeah. I was like, I look back on now like, oh, wow, you didn't know anything, man. You didn't know what you're talking about. 36 the prime of life, man.
Oh, yeah. I still like to tell people in my prime. I get laughed at a lot for it, but I still say it.
Well, I'm definitely in the prime of my life, but it's I plan on living to about 112. So, just saying. But look, I'm gonna tell you what.
That's your goal, huh?
If I well, no, 150 is my goal. But if I look like Jimmy Carter, someone put me down, man. Good Lord.
That poor guy. I saw that image you were
Sad.
talking about here recently on social media. He's sitting outdoors. His eyes are closed. His mouth is agape, and people are taking pictures with him. It's like, what is this? It's
horrible. I mean, that's so pathetic. It's like his great grandchildren there. I mean, his grandchildren coming over and going, "This is Pop who came on in the Mayflower."
No, but I did see an article today that that alleged, I guess it was his grandson or whatever. It said that President Carter, Jimmy Carter, grandfather, whatever, is proud to cast his vote for Kamala, and they used the picture where I guess he was at his wife's funeral where he was kind of in the bed, like same picture.
It's just it's disgraceful that they're exploiting Carter. I mean, look, I have no respect for him as president, but I had deep respect for him as a human being, and it's disgraceful what the Democrats have done using him as a prop. It's just shameful.
Yeah, as president, it was kind of inept, but yeah, you're right. As a human being, he was a very, very kind man, and
not just kind, but very effective. He was a successful naval officer. He was a successful farmer. He was successful with non-government organizations, Habitat Humanity. He put them on the map.
Created, yeah. So I think it doesn't hold him in a great likeness, and that's not something. Yeah, with family, that's one thing. It's a family picture, but don't put it out there in the public. It's just not. It's not endearing at all.
No, but I mean, I saw the video. It was like, okay, Jimmy, it's your turn to walk over and smiling next to a living corpse. Okay, Tina. I mean, oh my gosh, it was horrible. It was horrible. They have no respect for Jimmy Carter. The Democrats have no respect for Jimmy Carter whatsoever. They're just disgraceful human beings. The label I use of demon rats applies to an awful lot of them. That's for sure.
Yeah, and probably somebody up who doesn't know where they're at, and no faculties. I think is actually elder abuse, but we're not talking about Joe Biden right now. We're talking about Jimmy Carter, but it could apply to Joe Biden just the same. I mean, Joe Biden's lucid occasionally throughout the day, but that's about it. Only a few minutes.
At least 5 minutes. Or maybe
but what
5
you just
seconds.
said, what you just said about Jimmy Carter could be applied to Joe Biden, almost just the same.
Yeah, I don't know. I look at this point, somebody could walk up to Jimmy Carter and say, "The baby ate your bingo." He wouldn't know what they're talking about.
About Dingo ate your baby. Yeah,
That was a good movie.
Yeah, true story too, or apparently a true story, right?
It's based on a true story. I think there was actually an American who went down under like that, quickly down.
Right.
And, the disappointing thing for me is there's never any sequel to it. That was a really good movie.
Mhm.
Talk about somebody in their prime. I mean, like, I'm not swinging that side of the fence, but Tom Selleck was a good-looking dude in that movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Well, it got awful quiet there.
I was gonna say, okay.
He was almost Indiana Jones. He was almost
I
Indiana
heard
Jones.
that.
By the way. Yeah.
No, but it's like it reminds me of the Seinfeld episode. Hey, not gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's the whole episode, that's all this.
Yeah, you don't have to explain whether there's anything wrong with that or not. It's not right for you, bro.
Oh, they had you can't do that anymore. It was so much fun. And then remember the walk for AIDS?
Yeah.
He's not wearing the ribbon. Wear the ribbon.
Who would not wear the ribbon?
Who would not wear the ribbon? And they beat Kramer up for not wearing the ribbon.
Yeah, those guys popped up a few times throughout the series. Those guys are hilarious.
Yeah, they were funny. They were so funny. Yeah. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not at all.
Oh, they've so ruined comedy. You can't tell jokes about anything anymore in Hollywood.
I used to make comments that you can't say anything racist unless you were a comedian. Comedians did it all the time and people laughed.
And they can't anymore.
And now they can't. Nobody finds anything funny anymore. Everybody's just too wound up, too tight. Heads are gonna explode. Grievance
culture. Yeah.
Yeah.
Culture victimization.
It's disgusting. And the self-loathing. I hate the self-loathing. That's the whole thing about, you're inherently white. You're inherently racist because you're white. You should hate yourself.
Please.
It's like, get out of here. I hate myself.
No. Hey, let me ask you guys this question. Let's just to get off that topic for a moment and all the other topics. But one of the viewers put in here the first movie they ever saw was Apocalypse Now. Can you recall the first movie you ever went to see in a movie theater? I know mine.
Maybe E.T., I think. I know I went to that as a kid, but I can't remember.
I saw that in high school. They showed that in the auditorium, in the gymnasium for all the students. And they also showed Close Encounters. Man, that was wicked, watching Close Encounters in the gym on the wall. What about you, John?
Dude, I think my father was a big fan of drive-in theaters, and I was probably beyond remembering movie. Remember the drive-in theaters? And you paid your money, so no matter how bad the movie was, he wouldn't fire up the car and leave. And mother's over there begging, "Come on, let's just go home. This is disgusting."
I probably that was probably my first movies, but I can't remember which I went to.
But to your point, Chris, I was fortunate enough that we went to movies and stuff like that at a young age. But I know you have a point here you're getting at.
No, I was just wondering. Well, I'm going to get to mine and share it. I mean, that was the whole point. It's viewers get to know us a little bit better, But what I want to say for me is that I was supposed to go see Jaws with my mother and stepfather, and then they decided not to go because the line was too long, and then they went without me later on. So I didn't go to any movies when I was a kid. First movie I went to, I was a freshman at university, and I'm Buck Knight on Court Street in Athens, Ohio. And I'll give you a hint.
I know it.
This song came from it. She's got to be somebody's baby.
Yeah, good movie.
Be somebody's
Fast Times
at Ridgemont High. Well, you see, Mr. Hand, I figured this is our time, so I ordered pizza in our time. You're right, Mr. Spicoli. This is our time. Class, who would like a slice of pizza?
Get a slice. Get a good one. Pizza. Get a good one. Dig in there.
Ray Walston, my favorite Martian, was brilliant in that role.
Yeah.
Spicoli. The only time I could ever watch Sean Penn.
Yeah,
that was a good movie. I mean, I was a teenager when that came out. I liked the movie. I had a lot of fun watching it.
It was, and that was the first movie I ever went to watch.
That part with Judge Reinhold, I think we mentioned that in another show where he's sitting in the car and he's trying to flirt with a girl with the doofus hat on his head.
Yeah, the pirate hat after he got fired from his other job that he used to moan about. Then he missed it because he and his girlfriend, he wanted to break up with his girlfriend and she broke up with him or something like that. Oh my gosh. Some people don't know how good they've got it. If you look like Judge Reinhold as a teenager and you're dating that hottie, it's best to keep your mouth shut.
Yeah. Judge Reinhold.
Let me be perfectly clear. I think I'm stuck in a loop.
Oh yeah, dude was at the bell. They opened the door and the smoke billows out. Yeah, all the corny, all the old 1980s corniness. So we got a couple minutes left, guys. Probably about 5, maybe 5 minutes for top of the hour break. I've always been kind of curious. I guess Nisa made a quote here earlier, not too long ago, about they take advantage of the fact that they have a massive economic advantage. They buy their manipulation. They've been fleecing you for decades and decades. That was California Governor Gavin Newsom accusing oil companies of price gouging while people struggle to pay for gas. Do you guys think that $3.50, $4 a gallon is probably about equivalent to what gas was, adjusting for inflation, what gas was from 1985 or so? I mean, do you think back then it was 80 cents to $1 a gallon?
Well, at $1.90 a gallon in inflation terms, it was actually cheaper than it was in 1985. At $1.85.
So-
I don't know.
so-
I'd have to look at the inflation and see. But yeah, relatively speaking, gasoline at less than $3 a gallon, which is where it's approaching right now, is as inexpensive as it was in the 1980s. It's relatively inexpensive. It's around what it was when it's back to 60 cents a gallon back in the day. I mean, when you consider things, all things being equal, but but as far as oil companies gouging, that is such a red herring, such a lie. Oil is a fungible commodity traded in global markets and thankfully traded in dollars by every country around the world. Nobody buys it in rubles. Nobody buys it in yuan from China. Nobody buys it in yen from Japan. They all pay dollars for it. And that's one way we avoid oil shocks, because that's one less risk factor for us, because it's always dollars.
Yeah.
But oil companies are not gouging us. There are many parts to getting a gallon of gasoline to your tank and into your car. And that's just one aspect of it. Oil companies are not gouging us. The fact that they make windfall profits when prices go up hides and masks the fact that they lose their butt when prices go down, because their production costs don't change. The people that are always making money are the Saudis, where it costs less than $3 a barrel to pump it. The oil basically pumps itself, and it's good quality light sweet crude into their tanks. So that costs almost nothing. But, when you're taking the oil out of the oil sands in Alberta, Canada, if it's under $75 a barrel, they're losing money. It costs $75 a barrel to produce the oil sands. There's lots of it, but they have to refine it, crack it, and it's a lot of expensive stuff to do. And so
they got to pipe it in and all that other stuff.
Yeah, Gavin Newsom's just an idiot in every respect possible.
Well, it's kind of funny. It's interesting how the left always has concern about your fuel prices at the pump right in an election year. Otherwise, they couldn't care. They jack them up as high as they can get them.
Yep.
Well, listen, let me be perfectly clear.
Of course.
I mean, look, she tried that nonsense in the interview with Brett Barrett, going on about stuff and not answering questions and diverting and lying about stuff. And, look, Trump's got a track record, but they don't want to talk about Trump's track record because it was successful.
Right.
They just want to talk about lies. But I don't know. I know what to say about these clowns. All I know is that hopefully whatever Trump or whatever October surprise, if Bob Woodward thinks of that washed up journalist, Watergate clown. And you ever notice his obsession? All of his books are about Republican administrations.
Of course.
Nixon administration, the Bush senior administration, the Gulf War, the Bush junior administration, Iraq, and now what? He doesn't write books about Obama's betrayal of the nation, about Joe Biden's criminal activity. Never discusses that. Democrats get a free pass whether they're successful or failures. It's interesting. Bob Woodward is a shill for the elites on the left and always has been. And his book coming out now has been. Not going to read it. Not interested. I have some of his books. It's the same all the time.
Yeah. And he finds a way to level attacks against Republicans, no matter what it is. And he always brings up Watergate somehow. God, all the time. Back in Watergate. Wow. Okay, move on.
He's stuck on it, huh?
Yeah. Loop back.
Some guys have that one point in their life and they can't get off. It's kind of like what was his name? Bob Ross, the painter, couldn't get out of the 1970s with his hair.
Oh, good Lord.
Oh, no. But actually, there's a documentary. I watched that. The reason he did that, he wore basically a plain shirt, mostly blue shirt, and kept his hair that way. So that way you couldn't date in any of the shows. Anybody watch
them anytime.
Oh, really?
Right. And so that way it's all the same every time.
He was an Air Force veteran, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He was a cool guy, man.
Yeah.
He's a great painter.
Well, I really couldn't bring myself to watch it. It was kind of boring, but I mean, I think I'd rather watch Mr. Rogers,
I wouldn't watch it every Saturday morning, I think, or afternoon. But I'd sit there and watch him from time to time. He would, because he was really fabulous at painting. When he would pull a painting together towards the end, when things started coming together, it was interesting to watch, but I wouldn't do it every week.
Yeah. He would do two paintings. He would do one, they would record it, and then he would do one live in case something happened with the live show. They could just go to the recording.
Wow.
So it is break time, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take about 3, 4, 5 minutes, whatever they put into the queue, and we'll come back and talk a little bit more. Hang on. Don't go nowhere.
WSMN 1590, WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Listen, watch, and stream at wsmn.live.
ABC News, I'm Chuck Severson. Lawyers for Lyle and Eric Menendez holding a news conference outside the Los Angeles County Courthouse, calling for the brothers to be resentenced. They were convicted of murdering their parents 35 years ago.
Today we know better. We know that abuse has long-lasting effects, and victims of trauma sometimes act in ways that are very difficult to understand.
The brothers' Aunt Joan, new evidence of chronic sexual and physical abuse by their fathers come out. Presidential campaign less than 3 weeks from finishing. Democrat Kamala Harris, Republican Donald Trump doing interview blitzes. At least 3 people died and 4 were critically injured after a Mississippi bridge with workers busy demolishing it collapsed today, says the Simpson County Sheriff. Former One Direction boy band star Liam Payne is dead after falling from the 3rd floor of his hotel room in Argentina, according to state police. He was 31. This is ABC News. It's not just misinformation that is hurting hurricane victims in the South. Fake images online, also duping donors.
The image is heartbreaking and has generated countless views. A traumatized young victim of Hurricane Helene soaked to the skin, sitting in a boat holding her puppy. The problem is that the boat, the puppy, and the little girl are all fake AI-generated images blazing across social media. Officials in relief agencies say such images erode public trust and cut into support for actual storm victims.
ABC's Jim Ryan. Federal judges stopped a program that made thousands of legal voters in Alabama inactive, restoring registration status for both American-born and naturalized citizens ahead of the November elections. Justice Department sued over the program, arguing that it violates a federal law barring the removal of names from voter rolls 90 days before an election. Tennis icon Serena Williams says she had a benign cyst removed from her neck. Chuck Severson, ABC News.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pegol is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Welcome to Campers in RV of Merrimack, New Hampshire for a monster of a sale. Get ready for this spine-tingling savings event on our entire inventory of travel trailers, fifth wheels, and motorhomes, and we're scaring up some fantastic deals just for you. With falling interest rates and unbelievable prices, it's a combination to die for. We have RVs that are perfect for spooky movie nights and ghost story sessions around the campfire. So don't miss October's spectacular savings sale event at Campers in RV in Merrimack, New Hampshire. Visit us today, if you dare.
All right. We are back here. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just now tuning in or wondering what you've been listening to, you are listening to the Common Sense Conservatives right here, WSMN 1590 on your AM dial, 95.3 on your FM dial. I am so lax on giving the call signs out, but yeah, there it is in case you were wondering. So did you guys happen to hear the firefighters in Michigan dealt Kamala Harris nasty little blow by not endorsing anybody?
Let me be perfectly clear. I don't need them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But Trump's only got like half a point ahead? Was he ahead?
Because Trump's evil. I don't know, but he's ahead.
In the polls, yeah, he's got a slight advantage of Michigan right now. We were just talking last week, or I think it was last week, about the hardest state for him to flip,
Michigan, yeah.
and seven tenths of a point. So
yeah, I think he'll take Michigan. I think it's going to be it will be tough, especially around Detroit for sure. But if people turn out, he'll take Detroit. He'll take Michigan, I think.
Well, if he takes Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona, Nevada, he's got again. He's leading in Nevada and Michigan. He won't need Pennsylvania, but otherwise, Pennsylvania was like the key swing state.
Todd talks about turnout. That's important in Michigan, but I think just as important is a lack of turnout for Arab Americans who are pissed off at Kamala Harris for the administration's role on Gaza. I think that could play a role here. That could be, if it's 10 or 20,000 voters who just don't go vote because they won't vote for Trump and they're angry at her, they're not going to vote for her. And people don't realize how important one vote is. That could throw Michigan, that right there. So I think it's just as important for those who aren't going to go vote. And there's a number of people I suspect aren't going to go vote in places like Michigan, Pennsylvania, that have significant Arab American populations. Michigan more so than here. But yeah, but the bookies right now are really they've upped the odds. Trump went from a less than 5% chance of winning just 3 weeks ago to he's up over 25% chance, improved by 20. He's up to like 65-70% chance of winning this race now, according to the odds makers. That's something. That doesn't mean he's going to win, but that is something. And we still got 3 weeks. The Democrats could pull their October surprise. But like I said at the beginning, the October surprise to me is just how unhinged the Democrats are. They're absolutely unhinged.
So yeah, I don't think I want to encourage anybody to get complacent at all. I mean, there's about a 3%. What is it, about a 3% error margin in this? So when we talk about polls and stuff, that's still pretty close in these percentages. And you get lazy and say, oh, he's going to win it anyway, I don't have to vote. That's the wrong thing to do. Make sure you vote. Every vote counts. He needs to win this. What do they say? Too big to rig. It needs to be too big to rig.
Too big to rig. Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely right. Yep.
Yeah, when you're talking about the firefighters thing, Joe Concha commented on it. He said, as far as the race, adios, Michigan. She doesn't have the rank and file of the UAW either. Yeah, look, I mean, this is unprecedented. A Democrat not getting the endorsement of the United Auto Workers, not getting the endorsement of the Teamsters, not getting the endorsement of the Firefighters Union. But of course, hey, it's okay because let me be perfectly clear. Turncoats who are part of Trump's administration all support me. Okay, well, good for you. Good for you. John Kelly's in your corner. Mark Milley, the worst chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff in the history of the position. Yeah, we got it. Mr. Political himself.
Oh, somebody's asking us about where Pelosi's putting her bets.
Visa.
Hey, where she can make a profit.
Mm-hmm.
She's putting her bets in self-defense classes for her wuss husband.
So Teamsters Union boss was doing a podcast, a radio show not too long ago, and he pretty much called it out there like it is. He says the left used to back up the unions. The left used to support unions. And he says they don't do it anymore. He says unions are dying and the left is sitting there letting it happen. They don't do anything to protect working class. They don't do anything to protect the unions anymore. And this is true. He was right. They protect the pharmaceutical companies. They protect the corporations. They claim the right is favoring.
So look, here, two things. And let me be perfectly clear about this. Sorry, it's getting old. But two things about this. Okay, Democrats have for decades lied about the Republicans. Republicans are the party of big business. Republicans that's Wall Street. That's a lie. I exposed this lie in 2008 by looking at the Federal Election Commission's reports of who got money from Wall Street. And I don't know what the final figure was, but during the campaign, when Obama was claiming that John McCain was the candidate of big business, McCain got $5 million at that stage election from Wall Street. Obama had 23 or 25 million. Now, who's the candidate of big business? Now, why would Democrats get money from big business, from banks, from the tech industry? Because big business loves government regulation. And people are like, what are you talking about? They don't like it. They're always, of course they love it. Because big businesses and oligarchs who control the market because of lack of competition benefit from onerous regulations and requirements imposed on businesses by the state, not just taxation, but you must do this, you must pay this much, you must have this, you got to pay that. That benefits big business. Why? Because IBM and General Motors can hire accountants for $5 million a year, but mom and pop can't do that. And young budding entrepreneurs in the tech field or biomedical or AI who are trying to build a business can't afford that. And they run into a brick wall. So Democrats have always been the party of big business. They've always been the party of big banks. They've always been the party of Wall Street. Just go back and look at where the money goes to. It's never the Republicans. The Republicans are the party of entrepreneurs. The Republicans are the party of the small business. Republicans are the ones who have always been the lifeblood of pumping the economy by making sure there was less government regulation, there was less onerous, burdensome requirements on businesses, and that entrepreneurs had the conditions set in place that they could succeed by keeping government small and taxation minimal. That's how business succeed, while maintaining the role of government to ensure a level playing field for all. That's a perfect system. That's what Republicans call for. So that's the first point. I mean, they lie about this. Now I forgot my second point. I went so long with that one. I'll remember it later.
Well, yeah, you're right. Well, you're right about what you're saying about small business. I remember Ronald Reagan back in the day when he was promoting the growth of small business. He said it himself. Small business makes up the higher denomination of job growth and taxes, and there's more small businesses or corporations. Now, what you were talking about earlier, how Democrats love regulatory age or big business. Big businesses. There's a term called regulatory capture or agency capture, and this is when an industry turns the tables on the regulation that was meant to regulate that industry. So these companies, like say in trucking, where I've worked a lot, I see. What's that?
E-logs.
Oh yeah, well ELDs, yes, but no, it's just all in general. Okay, ELDs really that was one thing, but that went through Congress. But with the regulatory agencies,
Yeah, but who owns Congress? Big business.
Well, yeah, well, no, honestly, Chris, it was a Republican out of Florida. To be honest with you, that introduced it.
I did say Republicans, the party of small business, but remember, a segment of the Republican Party are rhinos. Okay.
Oh, he was a piece of dirt for it, and John Mica was his name. And he was the chairman of the Transportation Committee in the House. At any rate, no, but they with American Trucking Associations, you got that large entity. Then you got every large corporate entity. Then you've got these truck safety advocate groups, small advocate groups that align with the American Trucking Association and become members. And what they do is create an echo chamber. And they sway things, they have the money, they have the lawyers, and they have the means. So when it comes to comment periods, when it comes to working with the FMCSA and having meetings with the FMCSA, they have the legal expertise, they have the professionals for it. So they sway things to their favor. And what they do is they drown out small businesses. Yep. They create like unreasonable hours of service regulations that just don't work for anybody but the big corporate entities. And the ELDs did come from a big corporate entity out of Wisconsin. That's who introduced it to John Mica. Yep. So they captured these agencies to sway things in their favor to drown out competition or small businesses. So antitrust laws are existent. They're there to protect commerce, but they get around it this way.
So if you go back to 1994, 95 to 96 to 98, you'll see an explosion of small companies in the tech field. Everything, Real Networks, Microsoft got involved in it. You had Netscape come along. You had all these other corporations came along. And it was a very fertile environment for a period of time. Venture capitalists poured tons of money in there, hoping to strike it big with this, that, or the other. But by the time you get to 2005, that field has shrunken dramatically. There's occasionally new companies that pop up on the scene, but usually because they find a niche that no one else satisfies, like Airbnb. They found something. But then what happens is that once those companies get established, they turn on the environment that they were in so they can retain their position. And they use, like you say, capture the agencies, capture Congress, and they get things passed that benefit them and kill and crush competition. And members of Congress either too corrupt or too stupid to realize the harm they do to our country. Most jobs in this country are created by small businesses. That has consistently been the story in this country for decades, if not centuries.
So to your point about the Democrats, how many times has Nancy Pelosi said when she was Speaker of the House, we shouldn't have to do disclosure statements. We should be able to invest based on our own knowledge. Why shouldn't we? And she was actually talking about her own level of corruption and willingness to work with corporations and invest where they're telling her to invest in that growth, that technological growth. That's what they do. How many times has Pelosi's husband been caught selling off stocks just prior to a bill being passed and moving things around, but they're going to capitalize off from it?
The only reason Nancy Pelosi is not in prison is because the elites take care of each other. Yep. They never pay a price.
Yeah.
And that's why Donald Trump is attacked, because he's not one of those elites. He's an elite.
He's not
in
in
a
the brotherhood.
class of his own. He's not in the brotherhood. That's right.
No, he stands alone. He announced it when he was going in 2016. He was there to take down corruption. He was there to take down. See, Donald Trump knew these people ahead of time. He knew who was who and what was. I always thought it was because Donald Trump, Epstein got caught because Epstein had run into Donald Trump circles many times, and Trump did not like him. He knew who he was. He knew what he's about. And he despised the man. He would not let him come to Mar-a-Lago. He would not let him come to his facilities because he didn't like him. And all of a sudden, Donald Trump becomes president and Epstein goes down. I thought it was great.
But see, the problem with Trump is he surrounded himself and his cabinet and his administration with loyal people and people who are swamp creatures.
Yeah.
Jeff Sessions, what was that as an attorney general?
What was that? That come from lack of experience. He trusted too many people. It's strange to think a man in his position could be a little naive, but there was some naivety there, wasn't there?
Oh, there definitely was.
Yeah.
So what he needs to do is reach out to real patriots who can't be compromised, who can't be bought. And if he's interested, I'm available.
If I had that contact, I got contacts for the Trump campaign, but they don't respond very well. And it's to my understanding that because of what we're talking about, Trump is kind of keeping himself where he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to put himself out there and leave himself vulnerable.
Yeah, they're controlling every aspect of that, but they're making sure he's out there, but it's in a controlled manner. Versus Kamala, they're trying to control it by keeping her behind the scenes, like they did with Joe Biden.
Oh, I don't expect Trump to commit to anybody now. I'm talking about starting November 7th, 2 days after the election.
They're putting that transition team together now. I'm sure they're probably all getting prepared.
There's people who have been named from both teams just in case, because on day one, I mean, after
you have to have somebody.
Yeah, you have to have somebody named to put it together.
You have to have somebody the Democrats can target for contacting the Russian ambassador, which is part of their job, and then accuse them of espionage against the country when they're just doing their job.
Right. Yeah. Incoming national security advisors should reach out to counterparts. It's encouraged. It doesn't mean you're committing espionage.
Necessary. It's necessary.
We got to talk about some microphone discipline here, Chris. You either got to be on it or off it. On it. You moved away from your microphone, so it doesn't pick you up as well.
Oh, sorry.
There you go. There we go.
I got bored with the conversation. Not just.
I'm so sorry to lead you down the road of boredom.
I'm the one that made the statement, so if I got bored with it, it's on me.
I bored myself.
This boom, it's great if I'm right up here, but I have to be careful because when I get a little excited, I get a little of that in the mic.
Oh, the pop.
Even though it has a pop filter on it, I overcome the pop filter. I'm such a dynamic personality.
So when you get loud, that's when you want to back off a little bit and get rid of some of that, and also get rid of some of the scratchiness.
Honestly, expect me to remember that. I've been up since 4:00 this morning working.
Well, yes. I mean, do I need to write it down and send it to you in an email?
You'll have to put a little something more in my paycheck, okay?
Actually, put something in there.
Oh, ouch. Yikes. Oh, my goodness. Hey, apparently Liz Cheney committed an ethical violation by interacting with January 6th star witness. Surprise, surprise, not. She was talking to Kathy Hutchison via Signal. I thought Signal was for right-wing conspiracy theorists.
Yep.
Speaking of which, let me see if I still have my Signal account.
I got to delete it, right? Or get back in there.
Since I made that statement, it's going out of my phone.
No, I don't use that. I haven't used that in ages.
But isn't it funny that, Democrats are obviously desperate. Go backtrack.
Oh, yeah.
2004, 2008, Cheney's a war criminal. Now, all of a sudden, we got the endorsement of Vice President Dick Cheney, a long-term, well-respected vice president.
Yeah, somebody's well-respected. They're just so transparently obvious. It's pathetic. It truly is pathetic.
So here's something funny for you. Donald Trump promises to crack down on the supposed crime epidemic. And this article goes on to explain how Donald Trump is delusional about how crime has increased since COVID and yada, 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 and due to illegal immigration. While this article comes out about the Federal Bureau of Investigation's 2023 crime data news release did not mention that violent crime rate was adjusted in 2022 after the initial data was released. In September 2023, the FBI reported that the nation's violent crime rate fell by 2.1%, but the FBI quietly revised those numbers, releasing new data that shows violent crime increased in 2022 by 4.5%, according to Real Clear Politics. So they're trying to downplay Trump. And but here's a whole other article talking about how the FBI was playing with them numbers.
Of course. And until they have to revise the numbers, they can give you false information.
Wait a minute. Misinformation coming from the federal government? No,
of course not. See, most of the numbers you end up getting anyway are just initial data that they've been tracking. It's not been numbers that have been quote unquote crunched. And of course, once they crunch the numbers, that's when you get the revised, and it's usually revised upwards. It's rarely ever revised downward.
That is true.
Right.
Because they don't have all the information yet, so they're giving out
Right.
what they do have and what they're projecting. And the DOT does that too. They'll have the
Right.
fatality rates with FARs and stuff like that. And later on, you'll see the numbers went up a bit because that's what they could associate later. As the numbers come together more conclusively.
Correct.
Oh yeah, I've been there, seen that. So what else?
My
we got
messenger was out of date, so I'm updating it.
Play by play by Chris Wiley on the update.
It's been a while. Like I said, it's been a while since I've been on the app. So
yeah, Verizon is getting rid of Messenger now. Well, I do have Verizon at the time, and now I found myself on Google Chats. I'm wondering how safe that is to use. They monitor everything. I mean, is there anything that they don't monitor? That you're on Google web browser, you're being monitored. You're on anywhere.
I don't use Google's browser.
What do you? Oh, you're a DuckDuckGo guy, right?
No, you're talking about search. For browser, I use Firefox.
Yeah. Firefox, the old, yeah. I thought that was associated with Google. I thought they owned it.
No, that's open source stuff. Firefox. No, it's Google has Chrome. That's their browser.
Yep.
Yeah, they got Google Chrome. Before that, they had another. I think Chrome is just based off Chromium, right? Which is open source.
I'm not sure the underlying code for Chrome. I just know it belongs to Alphabet, and therefore I have no interest in it. It's bad enough I have to use YouTube for broadcasting.
I don't blame you. They give stuff away for free, for a reason.
It ain't free. That's the problem.
It's costing you one way or the other. So
yeah, in some ways more than people realize. Hey, so you know that Elon Musk is in PA this week. He was out there campaigning for Trump this week.
No kidding. Well, I'm supposed to be going down there Saturday for an event.
To PA?
Yeah, we'll be in Harrisburg, man. I sent you an email. You didn't get it?
Huh?
He conveniently ignored that one. That one's a spam, obviously. That's in the spam folder.
Yeah, we'll be in Harrisburg Saturday morning, man. I'll be down there Friday night.
What are you talking about?
You didn't get my email.
Okay. Well, I'm looking now, man. Looking at my email here. Let's see.
What are you, like 30 minutes away? You down by
Trump
York?
Train Rise for Liberty event? That's not it.
Yeah, that's it. Trump Train Rise for Liberty. That's it.
It's September 29th. That's like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, man, you ignored me for 3 whole weeks.
Oh, 11 to 2. How long are you going to stay? Because I've got rugby going on that day. Hang on a second.
Rugby's more important than an event for Trump?
Dude, it's part of my
Rugby's his
job.
life. Yeah, that's his
My
life.
job.
Yeah, I understand. Trump's
Let's see.
secondary.
Look, you didn't come. Wait a second. No, who came to? Was it you? You're the one that came down to CPAC with me, right? It wasn't.
Yeah,
Todd.
in Florida. Yeah, we went.
Okay,
I only got there for one day because of things going on.
That's right. Yeah, I remember. It's just part of the time.
The first day, Thursday, they screwed me up because I was supposed to get my badge and I couldn't get it ahead of time. I couldn't get them to answer my email to give me the pass to get through the gate. So they wouldn't let me get through the gate. I missed the whole Thursday. So then I got there Friday when I could get my badge. I think you had to go. You had to go to the desk and tell them, "Hey, can my friend get his badge? What's going on?"
Exactly. I had to sort it out. So, quick question though. You got 11 to 2s when you're doing this. You're doing the rally. Okay. Well, the problem I've got is that I'm tied up until 2:00, but I can make it after that. So, is this going to end at 2, or will it drag on for a little bit, or do you have a permit?
That's what it's scheduled for. I mean, if we don't get kicked out and it goes on to 3, then great. But that's what the permit I think is 11 to 2. So,
okay. Oh, you asked me to be a speaker at the event.
Yeah, man. I should have followed up with you. I meant to, and I just I've been so busy. I've been pulling my hair out.
You didn't mention it on the program at all. So hang on a
second.
I know.
I'm not even promoting it on my own shows. I'm ridiculous.
Okay, actually, I could make it and then leave before 2. and come back and skip one of the games because the game I won't get much attendance on. I could do that and speak at the rally. Yeah, if there's still an invite, and we got a permit. I don't want to go to jail.
No, there's a permit. There's a permit involved, and
then I look. I mean, I'd be willing to do something, but so 10 to 2, I could be there from 10 on. Let me see. Wait, 7:30, 9:30. Yeah, around 10 I would get there because the first game I do is at 7:30. It'll be over by 9:30. Take me a half hour to get there. Yeah, so from 10:30 to about 1:15, I'd be okay.
Oh, cool. Yeah, man. If you want to stop by, That'd be awesome.
Wait, let me double check my time on that. Yeah, well, I'm not going to.
If you have time, man. I mean, it's I understand if you got something. Going
actually,
on.
I got
That's like I did
so
contact.
I'd have to leave at 11:30. So you'd have to. I mean, how much time would I get? You'd have to let me know that how much time, and I could schedule between 10 and 11:15 if you can fit me into that time frame.
I will let on my scheduler know that.
All right.
10 to 11:15, somewhere in there. Like 20 minutes or something's good. I mean, it's whatever you feel comfortable.
20 minutes. I mean, I can trim down my speeches that are 3 hours long from that.
I was gonna say if you could take the whole event, I know, but we do have a few other. We have about 5 or 6 speakers going to be there, so we gotta squeeze them in and make it happen. And
no, I'd love to get that because honestly, not to be entirely selfish, but that'd be a great opportunity to meet some PA folks by speaking up there, and also maybe grow my audience a little bit.
Yeah, well, no, that's part of it. That's what it's about.
All right, that's this weekend.
Yeah.
All right,
I'm gonna leave out Friday. I'll be there Friday night, and I'll go scope out the Capitol building.
Friday night, and if you're here at Friday night, we ought to get some dinner.
Well, we can do that.
Yeah. Well, we can meet. We don't have to meet in Harrisburg. We can meet in Camp Hill or something like that.
Yeah, wherever. I got a car. I'm coming in by pickup truck. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's plan on that. That sounds like a plan. Take some snaps for the channel and a little social media stuff there. Promote the program as well. That's awesome. No, Friday night, let's do that. I've had some issues with the consulting I'm doing this week because Monday was Columbus Day, not Indigenous Peoples Day. It was Columbus Day, and so we lost a day there. And I got a new person on the team working with me, and he hasn't done this before, and we're like way behind. So I don't know how long I have to work tomorrow, but if all things go well. Not tomorrow, Friday. I usually knock off for Friday around 3 or 4, and we could do something, 6 o'clock or something like that. But I don't want to. I don't know what time do you expect to be in town?
I'm planning on leaving about 8 o'clock in the morning. Probably about 6.5 hour drive down there. It's not that far.
Yeah. 6 hours. I'm not driving 6 hours anymore.
Truck drivers, right? It's only 6 hours, man. I'll be there in a hop, skip, and a jump, bro.
I spent a lifetime doing that, and then I can't sit in a vehicle that long anymore. I have to take breaks, but. I used to drive for 18 hours straight. You just.
Oh yeah, I remember those days.
That's what a cup is
younger
for.
Man. That's what what's for.
That's what a cup is for. You go with those big, 32-ounce cups in case that way you don't have to stop. No, but we'll work it out. We won't work it out here in the show, but work something out, folks, and we'll let you know how it went. And I look forward to it. I'll tell you that I'll be happy to talk about what happened in Pennsylvania 2020 with that crowd there. I'll be happy to talk about Trump as a threat to democracy, which he's not, and also talk about, deficit thing. I can talk all these issues. I'll just take a little card and write down these bullet points, make sure I don't miss any of them, and I'm sure we'll get the crowd going. Yep.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. How many people are you going to think you're going to have up there, John?
That is hard to, we put it out there a lot of places, and it's hard. No, it's not like we did RSVP. We hadn't had anybody that really, responded that way. Right. So it's hard to gauge how many people. It could be 20 people. It could be 200 people. It could be 1,000 people. We don't know. And I know that, according to what the permit provider said there in the Capitol building, I think the grounds can hold up to 3,000.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, depending where it is in the Capitol grounds, they can hold a lot of people, but I don't know.
The front of the grounds is where they gave us.
Yeah, if you've got a social media banner or something like that for it, send it to me, and I'll start sharing it so that we get some people from Central P up there. So.
Yeah, man, I'll send it to you tonight as soon as it shows up. It's for explanation of the listeners out there, we're very, very busy people, and so that's why he missed the email, I think, and why.
Well, I also get 1,500 email messages a day minimum in that one account, and I have half a dozen email accounts.
So do you do like I do? And you scroll through it for the important ones, and then you just
mark
the unread ones as red.
Well, I mean, look, I have to subscribe to a lot of services because I analyze the news in English, German, French, and Afrikaans, so I get inundated with those messages every day. Oh. Plus, I've got investment things. I've got this. I got people reaching out to me. I'm coordinating for interviews. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Plus, I get just the news feeds from that. So there's a lot going on, and so I look for messages from people. And then if I'm waiting for something from somebody, I'll just go search for the email address. And if it comes up, then that, but it's not easy. It used to be easier, but it's just, I get swamped. And those are just the ones that don't go to the spam folder. Those are mostly good email messages. Like if I look right now, let me see. So I had to search for email. That's how I found this, but let's see today, just in the last, I've got Resist the Mainstream, which is it's an alternative news site. Retail Me Not, it's a shopping thing. Washington Times. then LinkedIn, a bunch of those, YouTube, then New York Times, Conservative News, Washington Post. This is just in the last 25 minutes. It goes on and on.
Geez.
So also don't forget,
bad.
I also don't forget that I also do rugby, so I've got a lot of stuff comes in for rugby, people trying to coordinate for that. And so, so I get a lot. So I don't miss a lot of these things, but I do miss them occasionally. And I always apologize profusely to people if I miss it, but I'm sorry I missed it from you. I'm always looking for your email because I have to find the link for the show. But I missed that one. I missed that. So.
Well, if I put a show link in there, see, I'd have been better off.
Well, hey, look, we're going to make it happen Saturday. Let's see if we can get some people out there.
Yeah, man, that'd be awesome.
I hope so. I don't want to go speak for an hour and a half to 20 people. Speak for an hour and a half, 20 people, but like being on my censored YouTube channel.
Yeah, right. 20 people show up.
Yikes.
All homeless.
Yeah. No, but I'm happy to do that. I'm obviously not shy to speak in front of a crowd. So.
Yeah, man. Always looking for good speakers. I'd like to get some more of those going. I think we need to do something as far as in the future, even if Trump wins. I mean, Trump's not going to fix this country in 4 years all by himself.
Oh, no. It's just the start. And the moment he starts, the Sixth Circuit Court's going to be engaged. Every action he takes, they're going to try lawfare against him. They won't give up. They'll try to prosecute, even though that he has immunity. He can't prosecute him when he's president, except for something he does as president. So any case that's against him or any decision against him gets frozen while he serves as president. But they'll still try. This is so sick. This man has done so much good for so many people for so long, and they hound him. And no one else could take this abuse. It's just unbelievable. You got to love it. I mean, now there's like, he's unstable. He's dancing at this event. What is that all about? That's strange.
He always did that. He always did. It was kind of like weird. It's almost like 1970, staying alive the way he does his hands and stuff,
I've been to a number of those rallies. I've worked those rallies. And, one of the procedures is whenever there's a medical emergency, stop, point out where it's at, and he would step away from the microphone. And also Secret Service has protocols in place. In the event they feel they need to go, him to come off the stage, that they have a signal to be able to get him off the stage. He'll go to a hold area if necessary.
Yeah, I don't know if we talked about this last week. If we did, if I did, I apologize. But we don't always have the same listeners and viewers every week. So the Butler rally, Trump kept doing this and putting his hand up to his forehead for the audiences listening, putting his hand up to his forehead and going, "Wow, there are a lot of people out there. A lot of people."
Right.
In 2016, they would always show us the full crowd. In 2020, not so much. This time, the camera never leaves the stage or left or right pans. I saw a post on social media from someone who's present, and it was about a good 200 yards away from the stage, but nowhere near the back of the crowd, nowhere near, still up in the front 10% of the crowd. And he didn't show the whole crowd. He only panned around from about 6 p.m. back up to the stage, which is midnight. We use that as a point. So only about half the crowd. Look, one of the jobs for counterintelligence agencies, we learn the art. It's an art. It's not a science of crowd estimation.
Right.
And I looked at that half the crowd, and I said, that's clearly 70 to 110,000 people at that. That was my estimate. I understand that the police said the crowd was 104,000. So I nailed it with only having half the information.
Yep.
And 100, it's like a Who concert, man. The Who, Roger Daltrey and those guys.
I know.
But it's seriously, I mean, no one sees crowds like this since Live Aid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, he draws. That's what I was saying at the beginning of the year. I went to his first event, was here in Derry, New Hampshire. He went and
but there weren't 100,000 people at that.
No,
maybe
he filed
30,000.
in, and a bunch of people showing up there at the Capitol where he had to file. And then he come down here to Derry and had an event. And I'm going, wow, this is abnormally small for Trump. I mean, this is just puny. But it was fun. I spent an hour and 45 minutes holding my phone in the air, recording the whole thing. I thought, 30 minutes or so, he'll be done. Hour and 45 minutes later, I'm like, my arms are getting tired, bro. And this guy doesn't look like he's winded down, but he did. And
you need a tripod. You need a power bank.
You can't take those in there. They don't allow that. Unless you're media, then they got a staging area for media. But now a Trump event, as he got that wave going and that momentum going, and it's enormous. And I've been to the UNH Center there in Manchester, New Hampshire in 2020. He packed that thing to the gills. Yeah. And I walked out of there just when it was getting ready to end because I want to get ahead of the crowd. When I walked out of that building, there was equally as many people standing outside in the cold looking at one of those jumbotrons that they put up.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was huge.
I saw this in 2016. I tried to go to a Trump rally here in central Pennsylvania at the Cumberland Valley High School, which is a massive high school with, I don't know, a few thousand students. It's huge. And they have a huge gymnasium, oversized gymnasium, and they have all these overflow rooms with TV set up because they got a lot of money from all the people's houses, taxes. But that event stood outside in their drizzle for a good hour and a half before they finally, almost 2 hours before they shut the door, got within like 10 feet of the door when the fire marshal said, "That's it. We've got 8,000 people in the building. We can't take any more," or something like that. There were still over 10,000 people outside who didn't get to go inside. Listen, when Trump went to Butler, Pennsylvania, just before Election Day last time around, there were 50,000 people at that rally. And we're like, wow, he's going to win. He went to Butler the last time. I don't know what the crowd was, but it wasn't a big crowd because you could see how many seats were out there and the space was much smaller. The space they set aside in Butler this time was insane. 104,000. That might have been an underestimate. This is insane. This is why the Democrats are so panicked, why they're so freaking out, why they're just making stuff up about people burning down, county courthouses to prevent counts and all this stuff. They have just lost their minds. Georgia's gone. Michigan's gone. Pennsylvania's gone. These are not even on the map anymore. I have seen nothing recently. I haven't looked closely at Iowa or Wisconsin, but I suspect they're gone too. And at this point, with this momentum, I'm not going to make any claims, but a blue state or two may be in jeopardy as well. Maybe Virginia comes back into play.
I think the blue wall has come down.
The blue wall is crumbling. It's crumbling, and it's being. And someone's trying to put some red bricks in there.
So Wisconsin, Wisconsin's Trump's got a 0.4 of a point lead on Kyle Harris. Yep.
There you go.
Yep. He's taken over these states that have went to the left in quite some time. Harris is only in your state there. Harris is only leading by 0.2 of a point.
He's not leading here. Don't believe that for a second.
No, I'm looking at for just so people know.
I know what you're reading. I'm just saying, don't believe those polls.
To win is and the reason why I look at that one is because they do a group of polls and combine them together and do the averages on it. But
so they're saying that let's just pick this one out, and see how accurate it is. It may be accurate, but Virginia, let's remember this, We'll mark it tonight. They're saying Harris is 50.5, Trump is 42.9. Let's see what happens on election night. I'm going to write that down: 50.5 and 42.9. I want to see how close that is. Remember, Trump traditionally has a 3 to 5% of people who don't admit that they're voting for him when they answer pollsters. So 42.9. So that's 43. So if Trump, if it's 3%, that gives him 46, and she's down to 47. That's how close it is if it's 3. If it's more than 3, Trump takes it. It looks like a 7-point lead, but we'll see. Anyway, I'm just throwing out Virginia there just to say. So anyway, it's crazy. But first off, how can anybody vote for this woman? I mean, honestly, how can anybody vote? She's like, change. What are you talking about? Change what? Your hairstyle, you're part of it.
It's funny how many times her, and Waltz has said, we need change from the past 4 years. It's like, that's you guys.
It's you.
I mean, many times over and over. And it's Donald Trump's used that in their commercials and say, I approve this message.
So recently I've been noticing some Kamala Waltz sign or Harris Waltz signs popping up here in New Hampshire. And they were rare to find, and now they're starting to pop up a little more frequently. Contractors out there listening, this is your opportunity. Write down those addresses. Those are your suckers. Those are the guys you're going to get the work from. You can talk them into anything.
Yeah, if you sell door to door, all you got to do is show up, wear your Kamala button, and sell them anything. Go next door to the Trump house, change your button to the Trump button. Man, you could rack up if you're a door-to-door salesman, right?
Yeah, I don't know about the Trump houses. I don't know if they're suckers, but I'm just telling you, I'm seeing them Harris Waltz
signs.
I'm telling you, that's a sure bet. You can sell them anything.
You wear that, you pop on a MAGA hat. I think you could probably get a couple sales, even just sympathy sales. I don't know.
Sympathy sales.
Sympathy sales. I may not buy your carpet cleaning machine, but I'll buy a bottle of your carpet cleaning soap. That's all I want to sell anyway. I don't care.
All I'm selling is elixirs. I'm telling you, man.
Right, yeah.
Concoctions of drinks. It cure anything. You got that wart, it'll be gone in a week or two. Just drink this.
Yeah.
Well, and another sign. In another sign of the strength and health of the robust Biden-Harris economy, Walgreens is shuttering 1,200 stores nationwide.
I did hear that. That's a lot, and that's a shame. In the most robust and best and most growing economy ever, all these doors are being shut.
Well, let me be clear: Trump and George W. Bush. None of the Democrats have been in office between his time and now, but W and Trump, they're to blame for everything. Never mind the fact you've had also the same amount of years as Democrat in office, but it's their fault.
Yeah, one of my viewers from South Africa has just jumped into the chat and said that he watched Candace Owens talk to Kamala Harris's uncle, and apparently the fairy tales she's been telling about her family are just these are tall tales. Look, I knew that. I mean, look, Paul Bunyan and Babe the Blue Ox are more believable than Kamala Harris.
Yeah. Well, you
she
know,
likes to tell the wittiness of her mother, how she used to say these wise things,
but those people that lie, it's that cadence, it's that inflection, it's that look, it's that certain pause that you can kind of tell somebody that's BS and you're lying to you. And she's done it for so many decades. It's like you listen to her, she's not good at lying, not good at telling the story. You just kind of know she's full of it, but nobody calls her on it.
Oh, I do. First off, I grew up middle class. I'm sorry, excuse me. Listen, sweetheart, your formative years when you were a teenager, when you reached puberty, from the age of 12 into your 22, you lived not in America, but in Canada. I don't know about growing up middle class. You might have grown up middle class, but in Canuck country, it ain't the same, sweetheart.
Well, Colonel, really, it's also North America. So technically, I did grow up in America.
Well, let me be perfectly clear.
That's my comment.
Let me be perfectly clear. Borders are racist, and so I see no border between Canada and the United States. And I want to tell you, about this.
my brother, the prime minister. I mean, my fellow countryman.
I thought that was Fidel Castro's son.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
right. Yeah,
there you go. You bring up Castro now. What is this new way forward business? Is that not communist talk? I mean, didn't Mao use it a way forward? Castro used it a way forward. All these communist regimes and stuff from the past use terms like a new way forward. Even the World Economic Forum uses it.
The phrase "the unburdening of what used to be." We don't have to be burdened by what used to be. They've used those phrases before.
So let me bring something in here from the chat again. This is from one of my viewers in South Africa. And Charles says that she published pictures in her book with black people in it, which she refers as uncle and I guess aunt, and they turn out to be family friends at best. Yeah, they're all black. Let me put something in very clear perspective here about that. Black folk, particularly in Africa, but not exclusively in Africa, tend to refer to people who are not blood relatives as my sister, my brother. That's uncle so and so, and we were kids. Some people did, your neighbors. So So I mean, look, but Kamala Harris isn't black. so I don't know if she had those pictures there. Were they props?
Right. Well, in the South, you see that as well in some families. It's like the old guy who's maybe not your uncle, but he's just been in the family. He's old guy. It's everybody's uncle. They call him uncle, whatever. You know what I mean?
Look, family friends commonly, it was a thing to do that. Yeah.
Right.
I get in South Africa frequently called Chris. That's is uncle because it's a term of respect, that sort of thing. So I mean, I would give Harris a break if she wasn't trying to pretend she was black with those stories. If she was just saying these are people in the neighborhood,
Anytime a politician is doing it, you got to question it. That's like the whole witty stories of my mother taught me this and my mother told me that. Everybody on the left does this every election cycle about how smart the family members were and their mentorship and all this other crap. It's like, give me a break with your fairy tales.
And how they just love families all of a sudden, but they praise abortions on demand. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't really care about families too much.
Isn't it amazing how, our rights to abort children, our rights. Oh, but you don't need those guns though. So our rights don't mean anything to you. Just your rights mean something.
Yeah. You're basically saying, some crazy psycho wearing a smock or something has a right to take a nail gun and shoot it in a kid's head. I'm just an abortionist. You know what I mean? Essentially, that's what they advocate for. That's the murderer.
Let's put this in a clear context here, even clearer than that. The same people who want to deny Americans their constitutional natural right to possess a firearm want to impinge on our rights, and we use that to defend life. They want the right to terminate life. Now, who's evil here? And by the way, abortions go to the tune of about 1 million a year in this country. That's why we have a negative birth rate, not because we're not getting pregnant. It's because we're terminating 1/3 of our children or more. So we don't have 1 million people murdered in this country every year. The figure's closer to 20,000. So, and of that 20,000, about 14,000 are killed with firearms, and that 14,000, the vast majority, or big chunks of those, are through self-inflicted gunshot wounds through suicide. So, I'm sorry, about 14,000 are homicide by firearms. So 14,000 homicides versus 1 million aborted children every year. Who's the real threat to life here?
Absolutely.
Right?
That's
I mean,
it.
who's
That's
the real
it.
threat?
That's it.
I mean, look, you guys were so stunned by the question, you didn't have to respond because you know the answer.
No, I was waiting for the statistics, and I'm like, yeah, you can't argue with the numbers.
I remember listening to Raleigh. I don't know if you guys remember who Raleigh James is, but she was a talk show host, late night talk show host out of Philadelphia. She used to co-host for Art Bell back in the day, but she used to say that they always say it's for the children. It's always for the children, but they never follow through with it. It's just an excuse, you know what I mean, to sway you into their BS, into the bullstein. If they gave a crap about our children, then abortion wouldn't be so important to them, would it?
I don't know. I just saw something here in the chat. Sorry, I keep bringing the chat in tonight, but something that just got my attention. It makes a lot of sense now. The United Kingdom's prime minister, their feckless lunatic on the left, who's arresting people for carrying British flags on British soil, actually putting him in jail. And then his court is arresting people who are on the street and passing a demonstration or standing there watching it and arrested. They committed no offense, but they're put in prison for 18 months because they were there. Even though they commit a crime, they go to jail. How can you go to jail for not committing a crime? But apparently the prime minister of the United Kingdom, Keir Starmer, his father was a tool maker, which makes a lot of sense since Keir Starmer is a tool.
As a tool, yeah.
That's a good one. One of your guys, as Chris brought up, what about her accent changes depending on what group she's addressing? Laughing my butt
I was
off.
going to
They're all like that.
it.
Hillary Clinton's like that. And then Barack Obama, we just saw that, he's talking with his erudite, Netflix executive voice. And then when he says the brothers, he gets down there. They're all like that. I'll tell you, watching the TikTok and Twitter responses on video by Black Americans, Black men to Barack Obama was incredibly enriching and exciting and entertaining. The wild use of profanity to tell Obama where to put it, where the sun don't shine. A lot of people are angry at Barack Obama. Now, these are people that can think for themselves, and that's what frightens the Democrats. They don't want people that can think. They want serfs. They don't want you to be able to think for yourself.
They want to develop dependency for you upon the federal government. That's what they want. They want you to be dependent upon the government. And that's what they're getting. I mean, you got people today living in hopelessness. You got these kids today, these millennials and younger Z generation that don't feel like they got any hope anymore. They look at it and go, I don't want to get a job because it doesn't pay enough. I don't want to get a job because they're coming down us with regulations too hard. It's hard to do anything or get anything done. And it's good. And I'm looking at it going, but doesn't it reach the point when people lose hope that it becomes despotic? Isn't that what that's about? So basically, Andrew Yang paving the way on UBI. We'll decide how much you need. 12 grand a year should be enough. That should be sufficient for you to be able to survive on, to eat off from. Whether you get decent clothing or not, it's a different story.
How about all these sudden policies and plans that she's just rolling out? So she rolls out a plan that will give Black men loans, forgivable loans. In other words, grants. I mean, that's what we call them. Yeah. So why are you going to violate the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, which ensures equal protection under the Constitution, by giving targeted grants to Black men not because of something that happened to them, not because of their service to the country, not because they've achieved something, but because they're Black men. And it's something, an immutable fact, something that cannot change. They have no control of it. That is beyond racist. That is vile and disgusting. You're going to take my money and you decide unilaterally to give my money to Black men so they have an advantage over me. Why don't I get the money? Why don't white women get the money? Why don't Native American women and men and Hispanics or Asians? Why did just Black men get it? Because you are pandering. She sat there and talked in this conversation tonight about, Donald Trump is just doing stuff for the election. You are just a crass panderer. And a lot of Black folks are seeing this. They're like, where was this? Where was this for the last 3 years? Where was this 3 months ago when she was announced? Why is it now that she does this 3 weeks for the election when she's falling behind in all the polls? Because she's a fraud. She's a fraud. Yeah. It's so obvious that even the blind can see it. Look, Helen Keller and Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder are going, I can see clearly now. The fog is gone.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
it would be amazing because two or three of those people you just mentioned are dead, so they probably still vote Democrat, I'm sure, but or at least
Oh,
their
yeah.
corpses do.
Man.
Especially if they're in Chicago.
Right, their corpses do that for sure.
I'm not sure how people find that. I'm always curious about that because I've had people tell me my late husband or my dead parents. I found out they were voting Democrat. How do they know they voted Democrat?
In
Registered,
Tennessee,
right?
Yeah, if they're still on the rolls, you can go look and see if they actually cast a ballot. Usually in primaries, but you can see if they cast a ballot in some places. You can't tell who they voted for.
Right. You can't tell they voted for. So, for instance, in Ohio, before my mother passed, after Fred passed in 2008, every election he voted until her death a couple years ago. You might have. I'm sure she brought that up at least once, John. When you guys,
She did. Yeah, she's who I was thinking of primarily.
Yeah.
But then
No,
I was talking
if she, I don't know that she ever said that she knew who he voted for, but she might have misspoken. But look, I know, for instance, so when I came back to the States in 2000, after the debacle in 2000, when we saw Al Gore down in Florida trying to get military federal absentee ballots excluded, saying that these aren't right, they don't meet the standard, trying to defraud 1,400 military active duty. When that happened, I came back and I lost all confidence in the federal absentee balloting system after I saw that happen right in front of my eyes. So when I came back to the States, I made a trip to Ohio, saw my mother, renewed my driver's license because it was time. And I went to Athens, Ohio, which is where I voted at for the whole time I was on active duty. And I went to the courthouse and I went up and knocked on the door. I said, listen, I'm William White. I'm in the Army. I've been voting here since I left in 89 absentee. And I'm not comfortable that my votes are coming in because I never get confirmation. Is there some way to check on that? She said, sure. And she went in the back. She pulled out the card file. She went through William White. Show me your ID. Show my ID. And Mr. White, here's the card. Here are the date that we mailed your ballot. Here's the date that we received it back. Here's the date that it was counted and the date that was added into the vote total. Every single election, it was there. I was really impressed. It restored my confidence in the federal absentee balloting system, absentee ballot. So my point is that you could see that I voted in every election. Yeah. Now, my mother, I don't know how she saw. Maybe the county officials were like, yeah, your husband, I'll let you see. Oh, look, he voted. Well, he's dead. He died in 2008,
Yeah.
But it's also, you can get it through a Freedom of Information. If they don't give it to you right there, you can do a request through the state, or you can go through the federal government Freedom of Information where it comes back down the state. You can get that information. It's publicly available information usually. So anyway, so did you see the Department of Justice, or as I call them, the Department of Injustice under geez, who is the injustice guy now?
Oh, Maury Arcus.
No, he's Homeland Security. Who's the Attorney General? Who is it? I forgot now. Who's our Attorney General?
But whenever you're saying,
man, there's three of us here. None of us are coming up with a name.
No, I was thinking.
Meritless Garland. That's
Meritless
Garland.
Yeah, Meritless Garland. But
I was, go ahead.
So the Department of Justice is suing the state of Virginia because the state of Virginia is following Virginia law, which says that ineligible voters must be removed from the rolls. Now, this is a law that was put in when, was it Tim Kaine was the governor or the Democrat?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It was passed by the legislature, signed by a Democratic governor, and they're simply following the law. And because Kamala Harris is getting slaughtered, and this is why I said Virginia could be in play, I think 650,000 ineligible voters have been removed from the rolls, and they're suing to keep these felons and foreigners, international aliens, on the voting rolls so they can vote in this election. Can you believe this? The role of the Justice Department is to ensure justice in this country, not to throw elections for Democrats. That's what they're doing.
So, just so people know, if you're not a citizen, it's illegal for you to vote. While yet they're giving out voter registration to people and get their driver's licenses.
That's right. I mean, you got motor voter laws
in
in
a
many
federal
states.
election. I should clear that up. In a federal election,
correct.
it's illegal to vote.
Well, it's immoral to vote in any election. Immoral.
But some states do allow it if you're not a citizen.
Local elections, that's
state
right.
elections. Yeah.
Well, it was just denied in New York City. That the courts overturned that, said it was illegal, even in local elections, because they tried that crap there. But they've already polluted elections. So, look, these people are so desperate. And again, tonight, listening to her talk about, well, we put a bill up there. We put a bill up there for immigration. No, you destroyed the wall. Trump was successful. That's the one thing Brett Baer didn't come back and say, hey, wait a second. But Trump stopped this invasion. The lowest number of arrivals was during Trump's time. So even though the wall wasn't finished, he stopped it So what are you saying this is Trump's fault? Because you're the ones that removed all the executive orders. You're the ones who don't adhere to the rule of law. You're the ones that let 20 or 30 million criminal alien invaders in this country. And not only did you let them in the country, but you facilitated their movement around the country. You picked them up and flew them all over the country. You are complicit in this. And he actually, Brett Barras has said, do you feel any remorse? Do you feel bad about that? Are you done, Todd?
He's like the teacher now. Todd, are you paying attention?
No, I'm paying attention. I had to respond to this important email, school board email. Sorry.
I got to get you one of these mics so you can put it on silent when you're typing.
He's got a mute button.
Oh, I forgot about it then. We can hear your keyboard.
I also have control over that. I didn't think about it. I was blocking up.
Oh, it's on John then. Okay.
I can just take him right out of the screen.
Just kidding. No, it's I on occasion, once or twice, I'm sure I've left my microphone on when I was typing. I try to remember. Hey, we've had 100 messages on our Restream chat tonight. That's the first time I've seen that before.
It's good.
We've had a good viewing, I think.
All right. Hopefully, good listening audience up there in Nashua.
So when it comes to these elections, why is it they can come up with things like electronic logging devices? They come up with these things with all sorts of electronic controls, and like we were talking about earlier, Google web searches and so on and so forth, man. They know everything. They know right down to minute detail about everything about you. Then my daughter's sitting there telling me now they're going to start randomly or periodically screenshotting so they know what you're viewing on your computer. I'm thinking, wow, that is really invasive. But when it comes to voting, for some reason, they don't have like some sort of computer controls to know if somebody, like multiple residents, like my friend Michael, he works with the polls and stuff here in Hudson. And he's telling me that he's found, I think, over 900 people that were illegally registered to vote. There were multiple people registered to one house where there was only one residence. But multiple people there. Why don't we have computers to keep track of these things so that we know when people are deceased, we know when people have moved, and that we know they shouldn't be registered at that address anymore. There, Chris, you got it.
Well, okay. In the interest of historical accuracy, going back to New York, going to San Francisco, going to historical America, we have immigrants who come into the country, whether they're Irish or Italian or Eastern European, or more frequently these days from El Salvador or Mexico, who live in houses that are designed for a single nuclear family. Yet 36 people are residing in one residence. It's not uncommon. It's not uncommon. We see it reported multiple times. There's a house in my neighborhood that on more than one occasion, for more than one day, has about 15 vehicles parked outside of it for people for their weeks on end. That is well beyond the occupancy permit for that home. And those folks are immigrants from another country, somewhere in Asia, not China. And nobody says anything about it. But that may explain why you may have a situation where you have a bunch of people getting a ballot at the same address. I'm just saying it's a possibility.
No, you're right. But now I registered at that address. So did the other 20 occupants.
Oh, you
registered. 20 occupants are registered at that address. Right? Yeah, now I move. I say, well, now.
Okay. Well, this is a problem.
I'm moving. I can't stand them anymore. Yeah. I go and put in for a change of address at the postal system. I change my address on my driver's license and I move over here now. They should be able to track that. With all this computer technology, they should know.
This is a situation that was happening in California in 2020 and 2022. We know about this, where people would do videos and they would go on, they live in an apartment complex, and they would pull all the ballots that were dumped in their box addressed to multiple people because so many people lived in that place and never changed their address and never updated their address. And the state just sends it to them. They're sent ballots without you even asking for it. There's one guy showed like 16 different ballots addressed to his house. Now, given how little attention they paid to it, and if there's a drop box, he could have filled out 16 votes and went and voted, dropped them in a drop box. I don't know if California has drop boxes, but I know Pennsylvania does. It's also illegal. And we'll see if they pull it off this time.
Or
we did last time.
Trips or
yep, absolutely.
No, you just go one trip. You just put them all together, dump them all in there.
No. I mean, if you don't have drop boxes, I guess it's 16 trips to various different places to drop them off. I don't know.
Well, I would say that after the 14th trip to the York County courthouse, I think the deputy sheriff would probably notice your face.
They gotta happen to notice that you're the same.
Didn't I see you an hour ago and an hour before that? When you going to Dunkin' Donuts and circling back every hour?
That was the other guy. Looks like me. Different name though.
I was my cousin Sven. You know, us white guys, we all look alike.
So I think we've reached the top of our show. I believe this is over, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank everybody for listening, my co-host for joining me tonight and having a good time. It was a pleasure to have you guys on. And don't forget to catch us same time, same place next week. And we go.